Let's see if that's better. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I hear you?
I can hear you. I can't hear the Donny.
Oh man. Let me play with some settings for a minute.
Okay.
If
Can
I
you hear me
sound fine
correctly,
to
Demon?
you, then
Yes, I can hear you,
presumably
Donny.
the recording's okay.
Yeah. I can hear you, Donny.
That's good.
We have a little bit of an issue this week because Peroty has been squirreled in real life.
Squirrel!
His internet cable has been chewed through by squirrels. So he's coming via a mobile phone, internet, via an iPad.
His connection should be 5G plus in the States, isn't it?
Yeah.
As Trump says, they have all the best in America.
Yes.
Oh.
But I did come up with a game plan just in case he wasn't able to kind of be here with us today. So I have created our own AI version of Peroty, just in case.
Let's see if that's any better. Okay. Oh, maybe?
Maybe.
Oh, your voice comes in a lot clearer now.
Yeah, it's better on my end. How do I sound to you guys?
You sound perfect. There's no issues this end. And there's no echo coming from your microphone or your headset back to us.
Well, that's very frustrating. I mean, I'm happy it's working well, but...
Well, I was just explaining to Donny that you've actually been squirreled in real life this week. And we've called in Donny to give us a hand because just in case you weren't able to get here, I was like, I'll ask Donny, he can come and give us a hand. And then I was panicking that because Donny hadn't responded, I was like, if he doesn't respond and Peroty can't join me because he's been squirreled in real life, what do I do? So I was just explaining to Donny, I've created an AI version of Peroty to help me with the show this week.
Ooh.
Sounds phenomenal. Yeah. Do you want, shall I introduce you?
Sure, I'll see if I can hear AI version of me.
Hello, Donny. Hello, original vanilla Peroty. I'm Peroty 2.0, Lord Night Demon's AI assistant. How might I serve you today?
Sounds like my work here is done. I've been replaced. See you guys next week.
Doesn't sound creepy at all.
Ask it a question, Peroty.
How much bandwidth do I need to properly record over a cell phone connection?
Why, yes, thank you for asking, OG Peroty. The weather in Spain is particularly cold today.
Okay, maybe that didn't go quite well. Donny, you give it a go.
It's Spain. My God, what can we ask him?
I think in this case it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, how many bread does go in a toaster?
Don't be silly, Donny. You obviously can't shoulder charge in space. There's no gravity. Duh.
Oh, hang on a minute. Let's see if I can rejig this. See if it sounds any better. Right. Let's give it another go. Right.
Friendly. Hello, Donny. Hello, original vanilla Peroty. I'm Peroty 2.0, Lord Night Demon's AI assistant. Helpful. How might I serve you today?
I feel like he's taking the mic now.
Let me guess, it was working correctly before we all joined.
It was definitely working.
That's usually how it works. It works
one more
right
go
until you need it to.
One more go. Let's see if this one version works.
Hello, Donny. Hello, original vanilla Peroty. I'm Peroty 2.0, Lord Night Demon's AI assistant. How might I serve you today?
It's just going from bad to worse, isn't it? Maybe I should just ask him to roll the titles.
Rolling the titles.
Yeah, okay.
Welcome to the Two Titans and a Hunter Destiny 2 podcast, a show dedicated to bringing you the latest intel, the mightiest news, and the boldest opinions from the farthest reaches of the Sol system. Whether you're a bright-eyed new guardian fresh from the Cosmodrome or a battle-hardened veteran of the Red War, this is your Destiny destination. We'll arm you with tips, tricks, and tower-worthy tools to help you triumph, thrive, and revel in the glory of the fight. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the show this week. As you heard at the opening, we do have a Peroty sort of. If we do get into trouble, we have Peroty 2.0, which we're not going to push the button on just yet because there are a few issues. But I do have another co-host this week. Donny has joined us from the Netherlands.
Yes.
So thanks for joining this week. As you know, Peroty could possibly be squirreled for the whole entire show. So it could just be us two. And that's all you get this week. Two and a bit. Guardians.
The AI is the bit.
Yeah. I'm sure it can give us an outro at some point. But yeah, how you doing? I haven't spoken to you for ages on the show. So what have you been doing? Have you been collecting your resources and farming your Nonary engrams and playing your Rites of Nine, or have you been
Yes
doing
and
other
no.
stuff?
I have been playing it, but not as much as other people maybe do, because I'm like, well, in a way, with the new DLC that's gonna hit in a couple of weeks, it's kind of like a refresh. So in a way, I want to start from scratch, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting too much into it. I just did some stuff, helped some people out, and had fun in Banner, and just logging in weekly, maybe an evening or two in a week that I'm just playing some Destiny, doing some stuff, and that's it for now. Just waiting for the new DLC to drop.
Yeah. So has your kind of playing habits stopped from what they originally were because of the new DLC? For example, I mean, if Destiny 2 had carried on the same way as it's been going and we got a DLC, but they weren't changing, like doing this whole major construction of systems and gear, if they were continuing the same way, would you be playing more at this point in time to kind of save up and to be ready for the new DLC and dungeons and raid? Or would this kind of be your playing habits, kind of dying down before it gets to the DLC and then going full throttle on the DLC?
Well, maybe a bit more prepping for what it was. But now, because with all the changes, technically, I do see it as a Destiny 2.5, not a 3.0, because, well, it's not Destiny 3. So
yeah,
it's more like we're being toned down. It's going to be more balanced, and we'll see, because people will still find stuff that will break builds and you name it. So, and I'm like, instead of just going completely ham and farming all the bounties and getting all the XP, I'm like, we get 2 seasons a year, so we have more time to do our season rankings, our guardian ranks, and you name it. So I'm like, there isn't much pressure to it now compared to what it was, because you wanted to go for maybe world's first or competition mode or you name it, and now I'm like, I got my base things. Okay, this weapon from Rite of the Nine is kind of similar to what I used in my build, and it should be a higher tier system, so maybe go for that weapon. Okay, I got it. What's next? Okay, there's nothing next to do now, so just casually play instead of just focused play on it.
Yeah. Peroty, have you been able to play much this week? I know we've been discussing about playing little bits here and there.
I've had almost no time to play this week. I've been at work 3 days and was thinking, oh, Friday I'll be able to come home and sit down and play and enjoy some Destiny. And then not so much, as that requires the internet.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Squirreled, obviously.
Which I'm currently very deficient of.
I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Donny. I mean, I have slowed down a lot more to what I would originally be playing. I mean, it has lessened over the years, and I don't know whether that's because of the game or that's because of the change of home life. I mean, this week I was just kind of farming for like Nonary manifold pieces in Ghost of the Deep, because what I didn't realize is if you have a checkpoint in whichever section, like the ultimatum section, which I have on a couple of the dungeons, because I hadn't kind of gone back through, I would just been going and farming, especially in the Ghost of the Deep with the bubble part where you can go and kill that Hive light bearer in that middle section and open the chest and then jump off the edge and then kind of repeat over and over again. So where I was doing that a couple of weeks back, I didn't realize when the dungeons come back around or they're now all opened up, is that checkpoint is still there because I haven't completed it. It's not wiped every week, which is really helpful so that I can then just go back in and farm. And I was doing, I highlighted over the Spire of the Watcher, which I thought was the featured dungeon for this week. And all it said was, increased Nonary manifolds and maybe a chance at a weapon to drop. And then I toggled over to Ghost of the Deep and it said increased Nonary manifolds, a chance for weapons to drop, and if you do a full run of the dungeon, you get more of a chance of like rewards. And I was like, I'm sure that they said that is next week for Ghost of the Deep. And then I went back through about 4 or 5 different TWABs because I was like, I'm sure at some point they have said, the rotations, and we've gone through each week what the rotations are going to be. And even last week, going through the TWAB, it said week of June 24th is Spire of the Watcher. We're currently in that week of June 24th. So Spire of the Watcher should have increased loot from the final boss chest when completing all encounters, and currency rewards, and weapon to drop from enemy kills. So that should be this week. But on my director, I've got Ghost of the Deep that's got all of that, and that shouldn't be coming until July 1st. So, and as I said, I went back on about 3 different TWABs, and they all say the same thing. Week of the 24th, Spire of the Watcher. Week of July 1st is Ghost of the Deep, and week of July 8th is Prophecy. So I don't know if somebody's messed up along the way, and because originally I thought that, Spire of the Watcher would be the first week, Ghost of the Deep the second week, Prophecy the third week, and then in that final week where they're saying about the Lootapalooza, that all the dungeons would have increased everything for that final week. And if that is the case, then that should be week of July 8th, not the week just of Prophecy.
Yeah, not this coming week, but the week after, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that they've done something with the calendar, and it's not actually... I mean, I can't ask Peroty to go and check because he can't get on the game, but it's like, it was really weird.
They have a button on their server that for one of the developers that goes like mess with demon, and then this button is being pressed. As simple as this.
Well, no, like I said, I think in the TWAB, it's like it has been for like last week, the week before, and the week before that when they were going through. And I know they've added new stuff each week to say, oh, we're now doing this for this week, and we're now adding extra for this week, or you can go to the emissary, you can get exotic weapons, and that's going to be increased the week after, kind of thing. But it's like those weeks have been kind of set in stone. But when you actually go to the director, I'm really confused, and I didn't know whether it was just me. But I went over Prophecy, and Prophecy's got the same kind of selection as Spire of the Watcher. But when I go to the Ghost of the Deep, it's got the full selection of, complete all the encounters, and you get everything from the final boss chest, and increase rewards, increase Nonary manifolds.
Have you tried doing it then to see if it gives you double loot?
What, the Spire of the Watcher?
Yeah, because it might just be a visual bug.
We
had a lot of those in the game, so.
It could be, but I mean, as I was saying, I was farming that middle section, and I was getting Nonary manifolds to drop from enemy kills. I was getting random weapons to drop because I was doing ultimatum. I was getting the adept ones to drop, and then killing the boss with the chest, I was getting another one. So it was going quite well. I mean, that's what I've kind of done this week. It's like I'll start building up some of these Nonary manifolds so that I can then throw them at the emissary for the Nonary engrams. Because I wasn't aware until I kind of went and looked for what's actually going to be in these Nonary engrams. There's quite a few things that I'm actually missing from my collections over the years that even going back through and having a look at in my collections, they're actually missing from collections. Because I don't know if you guys know this, is that I think it's from like season 1 through to about season 12. If you've missed anything kind of exotic or anything from like your collection, ships, sparrows, emotes and things like that, it won't show you that you're actually missing them. They're
because you haven't acquired them, they're not in your collection.
Yeah, but then I think from season 13 onwards, if you haven't got it from then, it's just grayed out. You can see it, you can highlight it, you can look at the item. So at some point they changed the system. So there are a couple of these things that are coming in these Nonary engrams that I actually haven't got, which I was quite excited about. So I've got a list of these things, and I have put them in This Week in Destiny, a few of these to kind of give you an idea of what's actually coming. So we've got emotes of A Sour Taste, Ada 1's Lone Wolf Ship. We've got some finishes. So we've got all 4 barrels, the Ashen icon for the Ashen Wake trace rifle. That's the one. Atroposis, I think. I think that's for the divinity. We've got the Cabal Shieldbreaker entrance. We've got the Chair Pop, the Cowbell emote, the Crimson Shell, Dawn of Invention emote. We've got the Dead Man's Revenge for the Dead Man's Tail, Death to Kel Ship, Drop Pod Shell, Arena's Grace, which is a sparrow that I haven't got. We've got the Galloping Knight, the Kingmaker, which is the ornament for the Queensbreaker.
One? Yeah.
One Terrible Scream for 1K voices. And we've got Patient Zero, which is the Seaver infected one for
Outbreak.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
We've got the Patty Cake emote. We've got the Shank Shell. We've got the Sales of Osiris, which hasn't been around for years. The Simulation Shell, which also hasn't been around for years. The SK1 Multiband Rover hasn't been around for years. The Skitter Scatter, which is the sparrow that looks like a spider with the animated legs. I mean, that only comes around when
Halloween
we have
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Halloween. We've got the Soul Piercer ship, which was one that you could get, I believe, from doing all the triumphs in Solstice at some point. So I actually have it, so it's in my collections. We've got the Spring Shower emote with the umbrella, the Bronco, which is a sparrow, the Warsat Arrival Transmat effect, Whisper Sweet Nothings, and you can also get the Winged Wolf, which is the what are they called? The hoverboard things.
Skimmers.
Skimmers, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Winged Wolf that was only available, I think, for silver. You can get that in these Nonary engrams. And then they've got the Wolven Shell, which was from The Witcher.
Oh, but basically, they've put a lot of stuff that was behind a paywall into those engrams now.
It's either paywall or it was stuff
in a bundle, yeah.
Yeah, it hadn't been around for a very long time. So we've got the Commanding Presence, which is like Commander Zavala behind his table. We've got the Heartfelt Union, which is the Crimson Day one, where the two Guardians bend over and make a heart. Arena's Vengeance, which is a ship that I don't remember, so it must be from like season 1 or 2. That again is missing from my collections. The Fist of Fury finisher. We've got the Iron Severance finisher and the Golden Age Dropkick finisher. And so yeah, those are all the things that are coming next week. And I don't know if you'll be able to kind of preview the engrams to see if what's available. And I'm not sure, did they say at some point, and I can't remember because I'm not sure if it's in this week's TWAB, that it's on a knockout system. So if you already have it, you won't get it from those Nonary engrams. But I can't remember, to be honest.
I want to say they did, but at the same time, we never should have gotten duplicates from our Bright engrams. So, yeah.
I feel like it was the armor they were saying something about, like if you're doing the dungeons and things for the armor, that was on the knockout system. But yeah. Even if they said, it doesn't mean it's going to actually be the case.
Because that's what enticed me to kind of start collecting these Nonary manifolds, because I was thinking, well, if it's on a knockout system and I've already got like 95% of these things, if I then go and throw the rest of my Nonary manifolds and get these engrams and they drop and they give me stuff that I actually haven't got, it's worth doing. But if I've already got them and it just gives me another one of it, I'm like, it's a bit like the engrams that you now get for kind of doing your XP, and you take them to Eververse and they give you like a ship or a sparrow that's like a purple one that you've had from like years ago, and you're like, surely you can see that's already in my collections. I don't need it. It's like, why?
Because you've deleted it and now they want you to have a fresh one, just in case you've been thinking, I really could use that sparrow from 1,000 years ago. No, Bungie, we don't, we can't. We're not interested. Thank you.
So are you guys actually, when we're doing like, if you've been doing the farming of the dungeons, are you actually looking for any specific roles, or are you just kind of doing what I'm doing, is like collecting as many of these different roles as possible for space that I've actually got in the Vault and Postmaster, to then just take into the Edge of Fate to then go, well, okay, you're going to do really well in this, and then just delete the others? Or are you actually sorting through the roles before we get there?
No. Just looking what's kind of similar that might work for once all the changes come. But yeah, space and Vault. I went through my Vault in the time that I wasn't playing, so yeah, I have more than 400 spaces left in it, so I'm good for now.
Ouch!
One of us.
How?
I legitimately look. I main my hunter, so I have more stuff for my hunter in the Vault. But for my Titan and my Warlock, I have all my main builds and weapons, and then I have a set of gear that's higher stat or have peaks in certain stats that I'm like, it might be helpful, so I'm keeping those.
Fair enough.
And everything what's coming in the new DLC, I can just build through it, so regrind for maybe a better cloak or you name it. Just go for it and just take it as it is, because yeah, I'm still gonna see it as a completely new expansion that's gonna restart all of us. So okay, we have an advantage because we played so long, but that's it.
Well, I think that kind
Yeah.
of advantage is slowly being taken away from us for being like the veteran guardians. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think that going forward, when we have this new DLC, the idea is that everybody's on an even keel, that when you first start the expansion, everybody can be at a certain level and they can get the same gear that is going to be relevant for that season or that episode or whatever we're calling it now. And then when the next one kind of comes along, everybody's reset again. You can still
Yeah,
use
but
your
you
old
have the
gear if you
knowledge
want.
as your advantage.
Yeah, we have the knowledge, but it has to change as well with the game.
We have bad habits of grinding the hell out of everything in the game, so yeah.
Yeah, true. So did you guys both watch the developer live stream that we had this past Tuesday?
I didn't watch it completely, but I'm still have it saved on my YouTube to watch it later. So I
We're
watched
not
enough
really
to get the
missing
emblem.
much. Yeah, I
Right.
watched it. I watched it like Wednesday evening when I got home from work, and they put it up on YouTube at that point. So I missed out on the emblem, which whatever at this point with emblems. But yeah, I watched it, and I'm going. Was there something there I was meant to get? This really feels like, hey, we're going to tell you something, and then we're going to tell you that we're going to tell you how these changes are going to work. Then we're going to tell you about the changes. Then we're going to tell you what we told you about the changes. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, which, like, to be fair, I mean, this because I've seen people, moaning this week about, oh no, they keep going over this, or not showing us the new stuff, blah blah blah. I'm like, this is the new stuff. Like this, like, you collectively, the community, been saying, oh, we need a Destiny 3, we need a major rethink, we need all this, and Bungie's like, well, here you go. I mean, we're reworking every system in the game. It feels like we're working, light level armor, weapons. We're reworking how all of this stuff works, and we're giving you a whole bunch of different abilities in Kepler to play with. So like this is the big change. This is the thing. That's why they're reminding you time and time again, this is going to be different come July.
Well, at least they cannot complain that they haven't told us enough. So
Well, no, I think that's the thing. People are saying that they haven't told them enough. And watching the stream, and I think the problem was that because they'd already let the content creators go there, make their videos, come back and then explain it to us, even them in the TWAB highlighting for like the last couple of weeks, go and check this video out, that so-and-so's done this, check this one out because so-and-so's done this. It was like, it was a bad copy and paste of what's already kind of gone. Although it was an official version of, hey, look at this. And yes, we just want to clarify some of the numbers. We want to clarify this does this and this does this. But literally the stuff that was in that live stream, we'd all seen like a couple of weeks prior. And it was like, what are you telling us that's new? And I think that's the issue with the community, because I watched a Paul Tassi video, which I'll link in the show notes, where he was like, you didn't show us anything new. You didn't tell us anything new apart from a crossbow and clarifying some numbers. It's like, this is the stuff you've already kind of told us. We've already seen the hints that we're going back to Savathun Spire. We're going back to the coil. Yeah, we've seen the shooting range. We've seen the damage numbers. We've seen previews of armor. We've seen previews of weapons. And it's like, what are you actually telling us in this live stream that we didn't already kind of know? And something that could just have been, I think, Asacross was going through it as well. And he was like, one of his comments was, this could have just been an email. I was like, that's a bit brutal.
I want to say they want to keep the hype in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's but like even watching, I mean, even again, knowing what we know now, knowing what we know already before going into this, and yeah, obviously the crossbow was a big reveal, but even then it's like, we're getting a crossbow, which is cool until you can play with it. Sammy Cat getting the shout out, I'm sure was hyped about it, but the rest of us is like, okay, we're gonna get this eventually in July, then we can play with it. Until then, it's like, okay, it's coming, cool, another thing to look forward to, but then what? Like, I don't know. Like, it would have almost been nice to see. Again, I don't know what I was looking for, but it's like, okay, it's, you've told us about what these big changes are. Pick some of them to play with. Like, pick show me a little bit more. Give me a taste of something. Like, give me something that the content creators haven't. And I think with all the content creators going, it really, instead of going to sort of like one place to Bungie saying, hey, here's a new thing, it's sort of, and I can't remember if I heard someone make the point this week or if it was a comment on YouTube, but just like, now there's so many different people and so many different places talking about individual parts of the game. Your understanding of what's coming is totally going to be colored by who you've watched and who you haven't watched. Because it's not like you can go to Bungie and get all the information, because they're basically like, here's the high points. Yeah, there's some other stuff too, but like individual creators were focused on different pieces and parts of this that Bungie, in some cases has, and in some cases really hasn't.
Yeah, and I'm not complaining. They've obviously done a really good job on DLC and keeping some of us still interested in playing the game and not cancelling our pre-orders like lots of people did after the live stream. And I saw a couple of videos from content creators going, this is the lowest pre-order for a DLC. Well, I think you kind of expected that, because a lot of people had decided they were going to switch off after the final shape. That was it.
Yeah, they wanted to complete the story and just end it.
Yeah, a lot of content creators said, I am drawing a line no matter what comes next. And, there are us hardcore people that will just keep playing and look for something new and still play the game. And it is going to be really enjoyable. But I think from what the content creators have already given us, I think that Bungie missed out on actually kind of ramping it up a little bit of a notch to say, right, okay, you can, what you haven't seen from the content creators, like you were saying, Peroty, this is something new, or this is going to be this and this is going to be that, or give us more information, because we were promised a lot of information. I mean, we've been holding out for like the last couple of weeks with bated breath of this massive TWAB that they promised, which, if you look at it, is it going to come next week you've got a big holiday weekend coming up next week in America, or is it going to be literally drop the week before
in front of the DLC?
Yeah, it's like that week just before.
They kept that in mind, Demon. Just see it this way. They're going to drop that huge TWAB right before the DLC hits. So once the downtime is there, people can talk about the TWAB. And they can still keep the game relevant. And once everybody's done explaining the whole This Week In, everybody can game.
Yeah, the TWAB drops on the 10th. The game's actually going to be down from the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. So then you've got those 3 days to read the massive TWAB before the new content comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going, like, before we wander too far from it, like the pre-order numbers, because I've seen the same thing. Oh, the pre-orders are down. I'm like, honestly, I mean, every one of these things I'm gonna order this no matter what. I'm gonna do the pre-order because I'm gonna buy the content either way. So I'll pre-order and get the extra stuff. But honestly, has this been the first pre-order that's been a rehashed exotic weapon that is also a very niche sniper rifle? I mean, when it was a Quicksilver Storm, that weapon was good and exciting, and everybody wanted it. So you want to pre-order, you want to get that weapon and play with it. Some of the other weapons, like, I mean, I can't remember the tessellation, I think. I'm not sure I've ever used. Like, I have it. Like, I got it in the pre-order, but it wasn't like, oh man, I gotta get my hands on this. I looked at the New Land Beyond.
That took your grenades in, right? And took the class ability and stuff from it.
Yeah.
Couldn't even tell you.
Yeah. You could feed it the grenade, and
you could feed the grenade. If you had arc, it was an arc blast, and if you had solar, it was a solar blast.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this going, I mean, at this point in my gaming career, I'm going, unless they have an incredible emote, which again, an emote is not going to get me to spend $100 early. Like, again, I'm going to spend the money either way, but I'm going to do it closer to launch time because, I'm going to buy the content. I've got till July 14th to buy this. I don't need to buy it early because honestly, the emotes and the cosmetics, I'm not really interested in. And again, it's for me, it's all about the weapon. Is this weapon worth it to get my hands on early? And it's the New Land Beyond. I'm like, one, I had the New Land Beyond, I think, in Destiny 1. Never used it then. And I'm not going to use it now. So I'm going, I could pre-order right now and get this weapon that I'm not going to do anything with. So it's like, it's like, obviously, there's less people pre-ordering. And I'm sure some number of people have canceled or, drawing the line. You're a decade plus in. I get it. But also, the carrot on the end of that particular stick of, gotta pre-order early and get this incredible what? It's like there's nothing there tempting me to pre-order super early. So yeah, I'll do it. But like, yeah, I'm not first in line when it was. No one's sitting here screaming, "Oh, the new Land Beyond's incredible and it does this and this and this, and it really is great in here, and you have to bring it into this." I've been killed with it a time or two and competitive, but like beyond that, I haven't seen it. Like I haven't seen anyone talking about it really, other than a handful of reviews when it first was announced and released. But yeah.
So, Donny, you were going to ask a question.
Yeah, the real question is, like he said, with you get the weapon earlier than it's supposed to be coming out once the DLC hits. But then the question is, with all the changes we're gonna have now and how weapons work, the tiering system, the perks, and you name it. For example, they give that sniper rifle and it has a certain perk that's really good now. But once the DLC hits, what's going to be the changes for that weapon? That's also the question. And for example, Demon, you pre-ordered the day that it's been announced, and Peroty and me just buy it at launch. There's no difference between that, just that you can use that weapon earlier than me and Peroty can, because the rest is just the same. All the emblems, all the ghost shells, the emotes, you get everything once you buy it at release. Pre-ordering doesn't give you anything extra than you get to play with a new shiny toy at that moment.
Well, I can be Darth Vader with the pre-order that I got.
Yeah, but I can be the same once the DLC is there, and I still pay the same amount.
No, yeah.
The numbers of the DLC pre-order doesn't say anything. It's just people just like to talk about it and stuff. But okay, people are being hesitant and being like, let me first see if it's worth it, then I'll get it. Yeah. And for example, we're having a blast in the first couple of weeks, and we keep talking about it. We keep talking to the community. And everybody's like, oh, well, if they're excited, I might want to try it too. So that's when the numbers are going to actually be stacking up and actually going to show what the game did and how it's doing, instead of just going like, oh, the game is dying, it's bleeding. Yeah, okay, the player base has gone down. But that's always the same at the end of an annual DLC drop.
Yeah.
Nothing different about it.
You do get the catalyst when the actual game DLC drops. At the moment, you've got it without the catalyst, but there is a catalyst coming for the new Land Beyond. But I was thinking about this when you were talking. I was thinking, I think they did it the wrong way round to get people enticed of coming back, because let's face it, the new Land Beyond is a weapon that is for the OG kind of Destiny players, because it was one that was kind of that we all remember from Destiny 1 that have been here for that amount of time. And, you know, some people loved it, some people hated it. But I think that weapon should have been in that 30th anniversary set instead of the Galahorn. That would have been a really good one for people to go and chase, because you, at that point in time for Destiny 2, you had OG people still playing the game. And I think for something like this is where the Galahorn could have come back in, because that... even if you've kind of dropped off of Destiny for years and they say the Galahorn is coming back after X amount of years with this new DLC, I think that that could have been the other way around and it would have worked. And they should have bought the black version. That was really cool. We had in Destiny 1 that black version that you could get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I think them advertising it as a Galahorn would have enticed a few more people to kind of go, oh, hang on a minute. Let's have a look at this. But New Land Beyond, I think, was a bit like Marmite in the UK. It's like you either love it or you hate it, and it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, of the weapons, I mean, it's a pre-order weapon that isn't new. You know, if you play Destiny 1, you've had this gun basically. You know, again, it's a very niche. I mean, some people are going to enjoy a kinetic exotics sniper rifle, and some people are just not. Are going to look at that gun and go, "Well, that's not tempting me." And yeah, again, you know, I mean, people love to talk about numbers. I mean, people love to say, "Oh, the Steam numbers are up, the Steam numbers are down. This is this, this is this." It's like, you know, go play the game or don't go play the game. Like, it's not. It's you know, if you're not enjoying it, go do something else. Come back to it. You know, come back to it in July 15th. You know,
see what it does and then judge instead of just being this way. Yeah, I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah, lots of people moaning this week, and I'm going, you know, you could just do other things.
Yeah. But the thing is, content creators need their videos to say, oh, you know, Destiny's dying. Let's make another video about Destiny dying and get some numbers in. Maybe we should have made a video on Destiny dying.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see when we sort of hit the, okay, we're basically at the end. We're all basically waiting for July 15th at this point. What are people talking about? What content creation starts happening. Where do the videos trend over to?
The videos of, like, as I said, I watched the Paul Tassi one, I've watched the Astacross one, I've watched Houndish this week, all kind of their reactions and kind of going over the information for this live stream. And it was very similar to each other. They're like, the community's moaning about this. I agree with this, that we didn't really get to see much of anything new. We should really see, Kepler, and we should see some of these new abilities and what we're going to be doing. And could you explain Kepler a little bit better than it's like? I think that they described it as a dungeon in that opening kind of viaduct that they had, wasn't it? It was like this new destination that we're going to. It's built like a dungeon, so it just goes down, 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 down deeper. But it's not linear, and it's like you can go and explore, and there'll be bits that open up every now and then that once you've upgraded your new abilities, and it's like, so yeah, how does that work? Can we transmat to the bottom of the dungeon, or do we transmat to the top and have to run down all the way? And apparently you can't use your sparrows. It's only going to be the new abilities in this new destination.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you, because they've said things like it'll be like Metrovania style, and even just the mission, the campaign structures, like there'll be like 5 to 6 main missions, and then like 9 smaller missions requests. So sort of like you go play a main mission, and that'll unlock like 3 smaller ones. You can sort of do those in any order you want, and then you repeat, and then you get another main one. And they said it was built, Kepler was built like a large dungeon, lots of hidden pathways and layers and secrets to uncover, and this whole idea of these world tiers, which I had completely forgotten about, that like it'll be unlocked through the campaign, better loot, harder enemies, more secrets unlock. I think Bungie say, there won't be any public events on Kepler, and I've heard other people then say, well, does that also mean then like no lost sectors and stuff as well, but like different secrets? Like, I mean, it does seem like a big departure, from what you're doing. Obviously, we're playing Destiny, we're buying your DLC, we know how Destiny works. But if you're going to completely change up how this destination and this location works, it would be nice to have a little bit of information. Like I hear that, levels of secrets and it'll unlock. I'm going, okay, so do I need to run through the same path 16 times? As I rank up, as I get stronger, as I do the campaign missions, because before I couldn't, I didn't have the ability unlocked where I can move the platforms around, and now this next time I run through, I'll have that unlocked so I can get to that platform that I couldn't get to before. I just want to know, Bungie, am I going to be playing the same thing over and over and over again, only with different abilities each time? Or is it going to be, different experiences? Like, I think people said too, like, this will be the first location launching without any kind of strike, associated with it. So it's like, how, like, how is this new space going to work? It seems to be a big departure from what we've gotten in locations in the past. Explain that to me. What obviously you don't want to give me every last little secret and whatever, but like, what does my gameplay look like? Like, how is this going to be different than going to the Pale Heart? I've got the portal to play with. I've got this new destination to play with. That's, I'm not going to go to the director and find Kepler. I'm going to navigate to Kepler through the portal. What does that look like? Do I have to choose, solo ops or something else to get into it? Like, I know what you mean. If I'm there, like, will other Guardians join me? Am I in my own space? Like, are there people out in the wild? Yeah, just a lot of questions that it'd be nice to have some answers to, or at least some idea of.
I mean, I'd like them to, if it is a Destiny 3 or a Destiny 2.5, and the reason why we're not getting strikes, we're not getting crucible maps, we're not getting this, we're not getting that, and it is just the whole rework of the systems and the way that you play the game, I would rather them come out and just say, because we are just reworking everything, you're getting a new destination, you are getting updates to this, and this, and this. So at the moment, there will be no new strikes. You're getting the raid, you're getting this, you're getting that. You're not getting this, you're not getting that. But coming with like Renegades in December, there'll be like 2 Crucible maps. There'll be a strike. And then following on from that with the expansions and so on and so forth, you'll then be getting regular updates because we've then changed all the game systems. We can now focus on actually giving you more in the game. Like, when Gambit comes back, it's going to be very similar to how you had with Gambit Prime. The armor sets will actually take part of the game. You have to actually build into it to go and play. You can use your other armor sets, but if you get the Gambit armor sets, you'll have a bit more flexibility of what you can kind of do to play that game mode. Just a little bit more openness of the reasons why we've changed the whole system round, not just we just need to refresh. Just if it is that we are kind of trying to get a Destiny 3 but not actually making a whole Destiny 3, but we're slowly getting there. But over time you will start to see more Crucible, more Gambit, more this, more that. I would accept that, and I think a lot of other people would, is that just be honest from the get-go and say, right, we're changing the whole new system. It's very similar to how we would have built a Destiny 3, but we're doing it in Destiny 2 so that we can onboard players, that they don't then have to buy a new thing, they don't have to upgrade. It's just like all free to start off with, and then you pay for X, Y, and Z, and then we're going to start building into that and create more of this. So, Donny, have you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I do agree with you at a lot of points. It's just the fact that they are keeping us in the dark and we all want to know, and it's just guessing work, and the guessing work is legitimately, it's what's driving us crazy, I would say.
Yeah.
Because we all know that we just have to be patient, but can we all be patient is the real question.
No.
Because
no, we cannot.
We all know that it's probably, as they said, with Banner is going to be going away for a little while. Gambit is going to get a lot of changes, but we have to wait for them. So they're working on it, but just let us know that step by step they're working on set changes to a game mode so we know what we're going to get. And if we don't know what we're going to get, a lot of players in the community are just going to be like, okay, I'm impatient. They're not changing this. They're not changing that. But for example, another game that's rivaling Destiny is announcing all the changes that are going to come. But their changes might be coming in a year's time, and we're not knowing what's going to happen. They only said to us, okay, we're not touching up on this. We're not doing that. That's going to go away for so many weeks or months, and that's the only info you're getting. So we need more information for us to be like, okay, is it worth the wait? Are we going to do anything, or are we going to invest in another game mode to progress in? Because with all the changes that we're getting, you don't have to do all the game modes anymore. So some people are like, okay, I feel comfortable in only doing strikes and nightfalls. But if Gambit's going to change, for example, am I going to be putting some time in Gambit to progress through there, or is it going to be worth getting that gear that's going to be available in that game mode? But it's just, we have to wait. I know it's hard for a lot of people, but we have to trust in them. I guess we had high times in the game, we had low times in the game, and it's just it's hard to deliver certain progress or expectations as a game developer these days towards the community, because they're so impatient.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, as a Destiny player, you worry about them taking things out of the game. Because, take for example, Gambit. They said with Gambit that they weren't going to touch Gambit. They were just going to leave Gambit. There's no kind of... They think it's in a good place. They're just going to leave it and just have people play it, but there's not going to be any kind of updates to it. And that's been for quite some time that I think they said that. And it's just been sitting there, and it's been doing really well, of like just being a really good game mode, because a lot of people still enjoy it and say it's probably the best version of that it could be for some time. And then for them to say, oh, we're going to take it out of the game, or it's going to come back, but it's going to come back different. And it's like, that's worrying, because you weren't going to touch it. So are you now touching it?
It might just be recoding, so all the new weapons with all the new perks and all the tiers and stuff could be put in that game mode, but just let us know that you're working to a future upgrade of the game mode, instead of just, we're taking it away for now and we'll let you know once it's back.
Yeah.
Are these going to be like the Crucible maps that are being taken out to be reworked that we never see again?
Yeah, Emperor's Respite. That's always on my mind. Like, when's that coming back? Just, I mean, and as we've said previously on other shows, like, there are certain maps that you haven't ported over from Destiny 1 that I know, I'm not saying squeeze it all into this DLC, but if you said there's a roadmap for X, Y, and Z that within the next year, you're going to get one new map, one old map reprise, one new map, one old map, just something I think would help kind of entice people to come back, because it's one of those things is like, well, you haven't mentioned Crucible apart from this new mode. You're taking out Gambit. Iron Banner's disappearing for a short period of time. You've got Trials, and the Trials changes have been good, but it's like, okay, just need some more information on what your roadmap is. Not a detailed like August this is coming, September this is coming, October this is coming. Just say within the next year we are planning on working these things. We will update you regularly of, okay, maybe we've had to push this a little bit further and have an extra couple of months working on this. Don't mind that. Just like the constant dialogue would help with what's actually going on in the game.
Yeah, just to know if something is coming. And if I'm a PvP player, I'm happy. I'm happy that you've added some new modes and you've got the new gear only, and that you've told me that, hey, I can grind my face off with no time gating. So it's not like I can only play X number of matches every week. And you've told me I can do all my leveling in PvP. If I want to sit and just grind my face off and do all my leveling in the new light level in PvP, I can do that. Great. But like what, and that's fine. Once I put my first 100 hours into that, what am I, what's the future looking like? Where is this going? Yeah, even just to say, hey, obviously, we're a smaller staff, we're a leaner team. We're reworking all of these systems. The unspoken words are, there's going to be issues, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be things we're going to have to work out. We're going to have to, we're doing all these major adjustments. That's going to take some time to sort itself out. What's coming in the horizon? I would hope it would be things, just like, like new maps, throwing new maps into things feel like an easy win. And constant disclaimer, we're not a game dev, but to say, hey, we're going to give you things that already exist, but give you new places to play them. That feels like, a lower stakes. Hey, let me go play Crucible here. Let me go get a new Nightfall. Let me go, throw a Gambit map in there somewhere, again, when those things come back. But just, give us an idea of, should I be looking forward to this? If I'm sitting here making this decision, do I plunk down the $100 to now? Or do I see where this goes? And then maybe in 6 or 9 months, let me pay for that season of the expansion. Then when I see, what you're going to give me, if the thing I'm waiting for doesn't seem to be coming back anytime soon. You want people to plunk down the money and buy the expansions. You need to give them a little something, to look forward to. Not just, here's what I'm getting tomorrow. But if I'm looking at Kepler going, I don't really care for Metroidvania. I don't really, these things are nice, but you should have done those years ago. Like nothing I'm hearing is really going to bring me back. What's going to bring me back? What's going to make me interested or excited to play this game again? And knowing that my investment is worth it, knowing that I'm not giving you $100 to then say, we're going to take this out, and then it could be years if it ever comes back. Yeah, just having feeling like my investment is worth it. I think it has to be on a lot of people's minds, because just throwing money down on a game that you're uncertain about. No one's got extra money to throw around these days. No, other stuff I can do with that money. I want to be excited, but you got to give me a reason to be excited. Again, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to play it, but how much am I going to play it? To what degree? To what? Again, I want to be excited for it, and I just feel like it's it's going to be, again, more Destiny themed things, which I've always enjoyed. Destiny is my comfort food. That's where I return to time and time again. But it's hard to look at it and to see all the discourse and see people talking about it and having a good argument for, other than, hey, this is where I hang out, this is where my friends are, this is what I love to do. To say, looking at the game and going, no, but this is what's in the game that's really bringing me back and keeping me here.
Yeah. And I think that the stream was a bit of a waste. It wasn't a waste of time, but it was a waste of energy that's already kind of come. It needed to be something different, or a little bit more of an explanation of what's to come in the future would have been quite nice to see or hear from, the guys there.
Yeah, the excitement, and I don't remember the woman's name who talked about who talked about the crossbow. But that level of excitement, that level of like, we made this cool thing and I can't wait to get it in your hands. Like, her excitement was infectious, and it just didn't seem like that was sort of matched in. Like, that's the energy I want to see going into this DLC. Here's the cool stuff. Here's what we got. Here's the amazing thing we're about to drop on you. Like, I would like a little more of that energy, other than, okay, we're going to show you the ball again. Hey, here's the Matter Spark again. We're going to show you this again. You know, it's like it seemed just like a mismatch of like, we don't have much to show. Let's bring all the energy with the crossbow. Because honestly, that's like, you know, that's all I saw people talking about. Again, you know, I wasn't able to watch the stream live, so I was sort of just like looking at what people were saying and sharing. It was basically like, hey, the crossbow, and then hey, they gave us some, tier numbers on, this tier of gear is from this number to this number. That was really it. That was all I really saw coming out of the live stream. I was like, I'm sure they did it I'm sure it was like 45 minutes to an hour like they usually are, but it's like I don't know what else they talked about because I saw nothing else that was worth mentioning, really.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Is that we'd already seen most of this stuff, and the numbers are already kind of being told to us from the streamers and that. And it was Vivian Bex was the sandbox designer. Was really passionate about that bow.
Yes,
the crossbow. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I was waiting for this video to load to try to scroll through to find her name.
That's right. I got you covered this week.
But yeah, more of that, please. Like that, like. She could have told me about the phone book and I would have been excited about it. I'm like, give me that energy. Like this, that's which I've seen people talk this week about all the passion. The passion's gone. Other people are building games with all this passion and they have all this passion. And Bungie, I don't know. I'm like, no, the passion is there. Like Vivian Bex is pure passion. Like the passion is in the studio. Like it's annoying me hearing people say, oh, Bungie isn't passionate about what they're doing. Bull. They absolutely are passionate about what they're doing. No one's in here building Destiny 2 being like, yeah, I don't really care about Matter Spark. Kepler's whatever. Like, I'll do it because it's a job, but I don't care about this. Like, no, absolutely not. They are passionate about what they are doing. They are, rooms full of Vivian Bex being like, I'm building cool stuff. You get to see it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Which is just a pet peeve I've had this week of just people being like, oh, the passion's gone. No one's passionate. Like, come on.
No, the passion is definitely there, but maybe they're not playing the game 24/7 like a lot of us, and are just invested in just the game. Maybe they're invested in and being passionate about making this stuff for us. It's just like, and they see it in a different light or a different view from their perspective. They're creating all this new and fantastic stuff, and people are like, oh yeah. I think maybe the passion's gone from some of the community, not from the actual designers and developers at Bungie.
Well, it's also that they're putting the wrong people in front of the camera to make those showcases, because she was very excited. She brought the whole energy from how she made it, and she cannot talk too much about it because it will spoil and you name it. But the people that were actually talking about it were too corporate compared to all the developers that actually have more passion towards building the game and making it better for the community, instead of people who are being corporate and only thinking about numbers because of, we need the player base up, we need this down, we need to go that up. And the way the way Peroty told, she talks about that weapon like it's legitimately her pet project, and she loved what she made from scratch and how it's going to be used in the game. And that's actually the thing I agree with. We need more of those people in front of the camera with showcases, instead of being those corporate people that only talk about if we talk about this, this, and this because content creator A, B, and C talked about it and they got hits and views from it. So if we do the same, we might get views and hits from it. It just doesn't feel as they are not connected towards the game and the community compared to how certain developers are, who are actually trying to make this game better and more playable and you name it.
When they first introduced that bow, I thought, or the crossbow, I thought it was an exotic, but it wasn't until she kind of explained it like, no, it's a legendary weapon. You can get random rolls on this. I think that was quite exciting. It's like, oh, okay. So there are some interesting things that you can kind of do with this bow. So, and it works as a bow, like going forward with your bounties and doing your.
That means that we can run triple bows and not use or lose your exotic slot in your main or second. So I see a lot of potential now. I see the lemon being very, very, very helpful. The arc one, the solar one, and then just go ham with the crossbow and
Yeah.
But where does the toaster fit into that?
Oh yeah, see now you're
the
missing out on your
toaster's always
toaster.
in the back pocket. It has to be.
Oh dear. This is your weekly rundown of episode Heresy, week 22, starting on July 1st. The new limited time event, Rite of the Nine, continues this week, with all dungeons available to play at any time on any difficulty. The featured dungeon being the Ghost of the Deep, which has increased currency rewards and a chance for weapons to drop from enemy kills, as well as increased loot from the final boss chest when completing all encounters in the featured dungeon. Plus, more exotic weapons are being added to the emissary's loot pool for players looking to round out their exotic weapon arsenal. Also, beginning this week until July 15th, players can earn Nonary Engrams, and players may purchase additional Nonary Engrams using 350 Nonary manifolds at the emissary. These Engrams are filled to the brim with hand-picked cosmetic rewards spanning multiple years of Destiny 2 content. Some are newer like Hollow Chips, and others are a blast from the past like Crimson Day emotes. The Vanguard Onslaught featured map this week will be Mothyachts, with a Fallen War Priest kicking off the boss rotation. The Expert Battlegrounds will start this week's rotation with Core. The Dreaming City this week is at a medium curse level, which means Petrovenge can be found in the Divilian Mist, and has the Oracle Engine mission for the next week. The Blindwell features Hive enemies and the Plague Kragar. The Ascendant Chant will be the Shattered Ruins over in the Spine of Keris. On the Moon, the weekly story mission is a mysterious disturbance. The Trove Guardian is located in the Anchor of Light, while the Wandering Nightmare is the Nightmare of Zortal in Sorrow's Harbour. Nightmare hunts Tanix, Isolation, Zydron, Servitude, and Ghoul, Rage. The Altars of Sorrow start this week's rotation with the Nightmare of Zydron and the Heretic Rocket Launcher. On Europa this week, Phylax the Warrior will be the Empire Hunt, Asterian's Abyss will be the Eclipse Zone, and the Exo Challenge will be Agility. Dares of Eternity Expert difficulty rounds are Fallen, Hive, and Zydron. The Scatterhorn armor set and the Lightkin armor set will be available in Dares of Eternity with Weapon Set 3. Chroma Rush, Ignition Code, Grid Skipper, Farewell, Sonja's Tale, Shattered Cipher, Main Ingredient, Long Shadow, Last Dance, Toil and Trouble, Wishbringer, and Last Perdition. The Witch Queen weekly story mission is The Ghost, Altar of Reflection's Choice, and Altar of Reflection's Insight. The Wellspring activity will start the week on Defense, with the Arc Grenade Launcher, Tarnation, and Vazul Solar Scorn Chieftain as the boss. The Lightfall weekly mission is Downfall, the Partition mission will be Ordnance, and the Vex incursion will be Umshire Park. In the Pale Heart, the exotic mission Dual Destiny is still available for teams of 2 Guardians, where you can farm the mission to earn as many new prismatic exotic class items as you like. The Final Shakes Cooperative Focus campaign mission this week will be Iconoclasm. The 12 Guardian Matchmade Excision mission is also available next to the race for a weekly pinnacle, with the Grandmaster version granting the Ergo Sum Catalyst and an Ascendant Shard. Also available for a weekly pinnacle is the Salvation Jade Raid, over in the Pale Heart, and new dungeon Sundered Doctrine, which can be found over on the Throne World, with the exotic Linear Fusion Rifle Finalities Ager up for grabs, and a whole suite of new weapons and armour. Just make sure to visit Icor over in the tower to pick up the quest Drowning Labyrinth to enter. The Salvation Jade Raid Challenge this week is the 4th encounter, Verity, called Varigeometry. The Root of Nightmares Raid Challenge this week is the 3rd encounter, Macrocosm, called Cosmic Equilibrium. The Vow the Disciple Challenge this week is the 4th encounter, Rogue, called Looping Catalyst. The Vault of Glass Challenge this week is the 2nd encounter, Oracles, called The Only Oracle for You. The Deep Zone Crypt Challenge this week is the 1st encounter, Crypt Security, called Red Rover. And the Last Wish Challenge this week is the 1st encounter, Kali, called Summoning Ritual. Featured Pinnacle Raid 1 will be Kingsfall over in the Legends tab, and featured Pinnacle Raid 2 will be the Garden of Salvation over on the Moon, with all challenges available for all encounters. With the exotic Scout Rifle Touch of Malice being farmable from the final boss in Kingsfall, and the exotic Trace Rifle Divinity being acquired via completing the raid puzzles in Garden. Also, the Garden of Salvation weapons are now craftable, with the red borders being farmable for the week. Plus, you can grab a quest from Hawthorne in the tower for a guaranteed red border on a full completion. Featured Pinnacle Dungeon 1 will be the Grasp of Avarice over on the Cosmodrome, and featured Pinnacle Dungeon 2 will be Vesper's Host over on Europa. The exotic mission rotator will be Operation Seraph Shield, with the Revision Zero exotic Pulse Rifle being the main reward, the Season of the Seraph weapon set, and Ikelos weapon set, with the Warmind's Avatar armor set. The exotic missions, the Whisper and 0 Hour will also be available in the Legends tab. We have now had all of episode Heresy's challenges over the first 16 weeks of the episode. So, as a reminder, if you complete 108 out of 112, you can get a large pile of Bright Dust to spend at the Eververse store in-game. Lost Sectors, Tuesday Thriller Dome on Neptune, Wednesday The Broken Deep in the Pale Heart, Thursday The Blooming Deep in the Pale Heart, Friday Bunker E15 on Europa, Saturday Perdition on Europa, Sunday Veil's Labyrinth on the Cosmodrome, and Monday Exodus Garden 2A on the Cosmodrome. The Grandmaster Nightfalls continue this week with our 22nd featured Nightfall, Witcher is faced off against Gorgath in the reprisal Lake of Shadows over on the EDZ, with a Lotus Eater rocket sidearm as the featured adept weapon. The 6v6 playlist will be Control. The 6v6 quick play mode should be Rift. Slow Collision should be in the small team's quick play, and Hardware Mix should also be available. Plus, Trials of Osiris at the weekend, with the Shrire's Wrath submachine gun as the featured adept weapon. This week should also see bonus Trials Reputation available all weekend long. And as we only have 2 more weeks of this current episode, here's another reminder of what's going away when the Edge of Fate releases on July 15th. Starting with the 10th anniversary Seal and Title, Moments of Triumph 2024 Seal and Title, Act 3 of Heresy's Unknown Antechamber Chess Puzzle and Rewards, Act 2's activity the Court of Blades, Act 1's activity the Nether with its 3 modes, Exploration, Advanced, and Expert. From Act 3 of Revenant, the exotic mission Kel's Fall, where you can earn the Void exotic shotgun Slayer's Fang, and Prison of Elders challenge Kel's Vengeance. Act 2 of Episode Revenant's Tomb of Elders, and Contest of Elders. Act 1 of Episode Revenant's Onslaught Salvation, which has new defences, 3 maps that are not in the Vanguard playlist version, and new enemies to fight. In the Last City on the Helm, Episode Echo's 3 Battleground activities, Delve, Conduit, and Core, with Enigma Protocol and Breach Executable. Episode Echo's exotic mission, Encore, where you can earn the Void exotic auto rifle Choir of One, and the Grandmaster Nightfall node, which gives Guardians the opportunity to complete their Conquest Seal for this episode, some of which are now not available. Warden of Nothing on the Dreaming City, Sunless Cell on the Dreadnought, Insight Terminus on Nessus, Psyops Battlegrounds Moon, Lake of Shadows on the EDZ, Scarlet Keep on the Moon, Hypernet Current on Europa, Heist Battlegrounds Mars, and the Psyops Battlegrounds Cosmodrome. To get you prepared for the Edge of Fate, now would be a good time to start hoarding completed vendor bounties that can carry over to the next expansion for XP and artifact progression. Also, don't forget to collect all of your episode Heresy pass items. Any items left over from episode Revenants pass on Bungie.net, plus your reward track items and engrams from Failsafe for episode Echoes, Ido for episode Revenant, and both shaping slabs for episode Heresy. Also, Banshee 44, Gunsmith, Shax, Crucible, Zavala, Vanguard, Drifter, Gambit, Saint 14, Trials, Rahul, Cryptarch, Hawthorne, Clan, and Zer at the weekend before the end of the episode, as they will reset and you will lose all items when the new expansion begins. Don't forget to collect your free 700 Bright Dust from the Eververse store each week up until the Edge of Fate begins, and don't forget to keep an eye on Zer this Friday at Reset to see if he's offering another chance to grab a random rolled exotic class item for 41 strange coins. And that's it for the 22nd week of the Final Shape episode Heresy. Well, we've had a quick discussion about the first developer live stream, but I suppose if we get into This Week in Destiny or the TWAB for the 26th of June, they're telling us about the next developer live stream that is happening on Tuesday, July 1st at 10 a.m. PT, so same time as it was last week, and they're planning to give us a glimpse of the campaign, cranking up the difficulty with the new sandbox and the new world systems.
Yeah. I mean, world tiers. Yeah, and they basically, I think, tweeted or whatever the same thing earlier this week too. Yeah, just Kepler gameplay and activities. Yeah, world tiers, which again I forgot was a thing. That's going to be, the world will rank in difficulty, and things will be harder to do, and I'll get better loot based on that. Like that would give me a reason to hang out on Kepler, other than going, okay, I've done the Pale Heart, I've done the activities, now I'm never going back to that location again. And yeah, just tell me about the portal and how my power and progression are going to work. Like there's so many things changing, which again, it's like you've told us a lot about them, but like I kind of want details. Like I kind of want to know. Like
yeah,
as a veteran Destiny player who's done the power increase time and time again, now that it's going to reset after the end of at the end of is it the year that the power resets? Or is it the season? I can't remember now.
No, the complete reset was every year, because if I remember correctly, we're going back to 10, and then we're going to rank up to 200, and everything above 200 is going to be reset when the next season hits.
So December with Renegades.
Yeah. And then everybody's going back to 200 again, and then...
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
So we get July to September, and then we have the mid-season refresh that you can go higher, can't you? And then when Renegades comes in December, everyone's being reset again, and then there's going to be another mid-season, I think February, and then that'll take us through to the year, and then reset again after that. So yeah,
which I'm curious to know more about how that's going to work. With my weapon and power and weapon and stuff is like, does everything just, do they do just like, hey, they drug all these weapons forward that are now 1900 or whatever in my vault that were, 1200 when I last used them or whatever, is it basically, we're just going to change the numbers on things, which, great, fine. Like, hey, this, you got this weapon or armor piece to drop at the highest level of, of 200. If it stays at 200, great. And then I can make it better as the season goes. Perfect. Like I would love to, I'm hoping this system helps me understand what I'm actually using. Because, again, we hoard so many things in our vaults for maybe one day this is good. And there's still no good way to go, when did I actually last use this? When, if ever, have I ever pulled this out of the vault? And I almost wish that, that they wouldn't bring, they hadn't power floored everything with each new update. I'm going, what have I not touched since the last time, the power went up? What is 500 light levels below? So, and maybe I just at the end of the season need to go, okay, what's at 200? What's above 200? If you're at 200 and you've got 0 kills on this weapon, do I really need to keep it? Does it really need to hang around?
Hopefully they do explain that, because they say that the devs are going to be on the floor to share many details about the power, the progression, the portal, Guardian ranks, and the quality of life changes that are coming. So that should have been the stream that we should have had already this week, I feel. That would have been interesting. Maybe touching on some of the things that the streamers have done and show us the new crossbow. But yeah, that sounds a bit more interesting of, okay, there's a bit more meat to that we can kind of dig into and kind of look at. Oh, and there's another emblem that actually looks really cool. And I was really sad that I wasn't able to tune in live for the stream. It does annoy me. If you don't tune in live for the stream, you don't get the emblem. And it's like, well, I can't. I'm literally at work driving a vehicle. I cannot get onto the stream. So it's frustrating sometimes. Maybe put a thing that, if you watch it after the fact, that you can.
Yeah, they should keep it for at least 24 hours to make it accessible for everyone, to be honest.
Hide the code in the live stream and you have to find it. I don't know. But yeah, it's just a shame that sometimes you miss out for not being there then. But,
Yep. Had to be there then. Enjoy the FOMO.
So if you missed last week's, they have the Mysteries of Kepler and the developer live stream, which is like the opening Vidoc for a couple of seconds, and then the actual Vidoc itself with the Vidoc at the beginning in it as well. So yeah, so if you missed those bits, then they've got those in the TWAB this week, which we can also link in the show notes if you want to have a look. Then we've got a little bit of lore, which we're not going to go into because we haven't got our lore nerds here. They've given us some more lore this week, but is it going to be a bow? Have we moved away from bows this week? Because we've had a couple of bows in the last couple of weeks. We'll see, I guess.
This week would be a perfect time to talk about bows if we're not getting the Ionians, the Exiles, and the 9 Oh My.
Well, yeah, just maybe I could just drop in their lore here if they've got lore.
Yeah.
Right, the bite-sized lore we are covering today is Graviton Lance. Now, this was introduced in Destiny 2, the original campaign, I believe.
Yeah, it came in Red War.
Now, wasn't this a void weapon? Rapid fire, and if I remember right, if you get kills with it, things explode.
Things go bang.
Yes.
Boom.
And if you get multiple kills with it, it's just purple everywhere.
Yes.
And lots of things go purple, explode.
And pop. Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So the flavor text with this, think of space-time as a tapestry on a loom. This weapon is the needle.
So, wait, that thing you found does what?
It fires black holes.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, it does. Actually, tiny bullet-sized black holes.
Did you tell the others?
Only that I found some weird gun in some overgrown tunnel back in old Chicago, and that my ghost was all, this is why we were led here.
Yours talks that way too.
What do you think?
Okay. But the gun, are you going to sell it?
Yeah, definitely.
When?
Crucible.
No.
Oh, yes. And that's possibly
the best way to do it.
Possibly, yeah. For ones like this, I do think it would be the best way to do it because you've got two voices, haven't you? Instantly.
There's not much to take about that. Guardian found gun.
In old
Guardian
Chicago, that we're going back
Guardian-
to soon. Which kind of leads me to think, if they found it in old Chicago, right?
What else are we going to get?
We're going to be in old Chicago soon. So is
Yeah,
there, for example, like when you do the Luna's Howl questline, or when you did the Luna's Howl questline back in the day, back in the day
when I'd never played this, and I never played Crucible.
yeah, during the when you
During
were
the war.
going through, when you were going through the quest lines, it told you that obviously the Guardian lost his dog, which was Luna, on the moon. Now, if you go to the moon now in game, you can actually find Luna's grave.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Luna's grave is actually in game. Do you think that, given this is coming from old Chicago, we're going to old Chicago, do you think we're going to have a little nod for it somewhere? Because I'd love for there to be a little nod to it somewhere, just like I don't know, like, you know, you were used to get scannables. They're in the tower, you know what I mean?
I used to get that chirp, that annoying little chirp.
Yeah, but you used to go over and you used to be able to scan it, and then it'd come back, and the ghost would sort of read you a bit of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there was no actual, there was no achievement, there was no collection of anything. It was just this little voice line.
Yeah, I'd love for there just to be somewhere. If we're going back to old Chicago, just let me go somewhere, find one of those, and just have it. Just give us a little nod back to Graviton Lands.
Yeah, that would be good.
You know, like, I mean, obviously we've got them in the tower and whatnot, but it's sort of like, just give us a little nod back to it. A bit like when you go and you disturb the remains on the Cosmodrome from the old loot cave from Destiny 1. And even now, if you go to that same loot cave, because obviously it's the entrance to...
yes, the quest.
Grasp of Avarice.
Yes, not the quest, the dungeon. Yeah,
it's Grasp of Avarice. Even if you go now and you can disturb the remains in there, it still reads the same voice line as what they read in Destiny 1 after they shut the loot cave down. I want something similar for Graviton Lands in old Chicago. Just a little nod. Just a little, how do, you know, this is where it was. That has been a reading for Graviton Lands.
Thank you very much for joining us. I am not off, and he is...
Noble.
That's the one. Bye-bye.
Goodbye for now.
And now you've either heard it or you haven't. Maintain the mystery. Yeah, I was looking at this whole department of or department of external observations about I saw some of the the lore nerds on YouTube talking about this and going again just drawing more lines. Is this old Chicago related? Is this I'm not going to go in and like read this whole thing because it's talks about this leather bound binder with codes and there's some redacted parts of this text and there's a binder. It's black. It's mysterious. We don't know what it is, but I don't know what it is. Something about taken from a DEO test site, and I'm assuming it's March 20th, 1900 something from DEO test site 7. So yeah, tune into your local lore nerds and figure out what that all means.
I mean, it is available in the Year of Prophecy Collector's Edition. I'm not sure if it's redacted in that. Maybe it is as well. But is it something that's actually happened in real life that they're actually referencing in this that happened on those dates? Maybe not.
I don't know.
I don't know. You don't know. But what we do know is that we're getting new armor for a new beginning with set bonuses and things. We did go over these a couple of weeks ago, and there were more than what they've linked in, more than what they've kind of put in the TWAB this week. So, for example, you've got the Aeon Renewals, which is Force Converter after final blows with missiles, rocket launchers, and grenade launchers. Sprint for a short time gains speed booster. And Reactive Boost, which is your 4-piece perks on your armor set. So that was the 2-piece perk. For your 4-piece, Reactive Booster, once per activation of Anomalous Servos, sprinting while at critical health, being suspended or being slowed by stasis effects will immediately grant speed boost for a short duration. And then for the tech set armor set, for the 2-piece bonus. Wrecker, you deal significantly increased kinetic damage to overshields, combatants, shields, and constructs. And then the 4-piece, concussive rounds. Defeating powerful combatants or breaking a combatant's shield with kinetic damage releases a disorientating kinetic shockwave. Yeah, and I vaguely remember that there was other. We went through loads of others, wasn't there? There was about 4 or 5 that we went through a couple of weeks ago. I think that was episode 332.
Yeah, because
So-
we poured through all the creator videos and took loads of screenshots of the things that they shared and they had grabbed when they were getting the preview. Again, we've told you about these things, and now we're going to officially tell you about these things.
Yeah. So set bonuses are coming to certain armor types in the Edge of Fate. So you can either run a 2-piece from one set and another 2-piece from another set and get those 2-piece sets bonuses, or you could run it as a whole complete 4-piece, or as we discovered, it was either last week or the week before, or even on episode 332, that if you run 5 pieces, you get an intrinsic bonus of weapon damage and damage reduction, I think.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Damage resistance.
Yeah. So there are other things that we have spoken about, but it's not in the TWAB this week. So it's really confusing because that would have been handy to have the full thing.
Yeah, it's strange again. Like if you watch, again, if you're watching this game and following the coverage, you sort of know all this information. But now Bungie's like, well, here's some of it. Like, why are we getting some of the perks but not all of them? Yeah, it's just interesting how they're sort of quasi drip feeding all of this to us in a way.
And then we're also with the set bonuses, we're also getting armor archetypes that we did go through. So again, you've got Paragon, which are super as your primary and melee as your secondary. So those are your energy bars that you'll see on your armor sets that we kind of have now with resilience, recovery, strength, grenade, all of that now. That's kind of where it's being changed for the armor 3.0. You actually have specific sets that will give you, like, say, Paragon will give you Super as a primary and Melee as your secondary, which will be your higher stats in those sections. Grenadier, which is Grenade primary, Super secondary. Specialist is Class primary, Weapon secondary. Brawler is Melee primary, Health secondary. Bulwark is Health primary, Class secondary. And Gunner is Weapon primary and Grenade secondary. So, yeah.
And please keep reminding me of what all those things are going to be, because I can never remember between my stats changing and now these new archetypes. Yeah, just keep reminding me. So then when it comes to July, I'll be able to know what I'm doing.
So yeah, each armor 3.0 drop has a randomly selected armor archetype. So each of the 6 available archetypes are themed around a specific playstyle and determine the 2 highest stats on each piece of armor. Each piece of armor will also roll with a territory or lowest stat randomly selected from the remaining 4 stats. So as I said, it'll be spiky in the primary and the secondary, and then they'll give you random stats in the other ones. So you can look for, like we were talking about, the set bonuses for the Aeon renewals and the tech sets, but they will also then, within those, have a random rolled or a random selected version of them. So you could have a tech set that has a Paragon, or you could have one that is a Bulwark or a Brawler, and it just adds more kind of farming to the armor sets, I guess, because you want to look for a specific build, which means I need more space in my vault. And I'm crying because I need more space in my vault. Oh, geez. Anyway.
That has to be a complete Patreon show, just pay-per-view kind of thing. Demon and his vault.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
My
so
poor vault.
I'm over here with Don. I mean, I've got 327 of 700 in the vault because, again, I've just done, I killed all the exotics I wasn't using, deleted a ton of weapons I've never used. Again, I have enough things. I've got plenty of things to bring into the Edge of Fate, but just, you're going to give me things. The armor, especially, I've kept more of that around because I'm like that. That again, I'm going to have better stuff, but it's not going to be day one. I'm going to keep.
I am just holding out though. I am just holding out before I delete.
To be outclassed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the big question that we're all wrestling with is obviously this will be outclassed at some point. Is that some point going to be week 1, month 1, season 1?
You say that, but there are.
I do.
After we've kind of gone through some of these bits in the TWAB, there is something that is going around in the community that people have pointed out, and Houndish made a video on, which I will link in the show notes. But just to go over Masterworking. So Masterworking armor has been updated with the Armor 3.0 system. So all Armor 3.0 drops will have their maximum armor energy available regardless of the Masterwork level. So you can put your mod slots in, basically. You don't have to level it up to get those mod slots. Masterworking the armor no longer increases all the stats. The amount gained by the primary and secondary and territory stats that it rolled with will not change, with the exception of armor mods. And then Masterworking, from now on, with the Armor 3.0, increases your lowest 3 stats on that piece of armor by +1 for with each level. This has a maximum of +5 in each, or 15 in total. So, yeah. So you can get more points in other areas, which I guess helps. It's a bit like having Artifice armor, isn't it, at the moment? So you could put like +3 in a certain area to kind of bump that one up. It's a bit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate them sort of saying, "Hey, here's the 3, the 3 stats you're going to receive, and sort of how those are laid out, and then everything else it'll kind of be there too."
Yeah,
and then with the gear tiers, they've giving us some numbers to play with, which of course everyone's been asking for too.
yeah.
For example, higher tier weapons will drop with enhanced perks or special weapon mods, and in tier 5, the unique visual effects. However, tiers 4 and 5 have a couple extra bonuses. So with extra mod energy, we go from 10 to 11. So you get that extra mod energy slot that will drop, unlocked and ready to spend when you get it. At tier 4, you also get the randomly selected tuned stat at tier 5. I'm sorry, extra mod slot tier 4, and then at tier 5, you get the randomly selected tuned stat. So the tier 5 armor will always drop with a perfect stat roll of 30 in the primary, 25 in the secondary, and 20 in the tertiary slot. So if you're getting tier 5 armor, it's nice to know, hey, you're getting a 30, a 25, and a 20 in those, again, based on what the archetype is and what that armor piece is. Those will be your top 3 numbers. So that's what you're going to get, which, again, makes it kind of nice because, how many times has Bungie said, oh, we're gonna give you high tier armor, and then you go do the activity and you spend all the time and effort and it's terrible. It's nice to know, hey, if I'm doing a tier 5 activity and I get a tier 5 armor drop, it's going to have these stats in it, which is awesome. And they did give us the numbers, for tier 1, your total stats, 52 to 57, masterworked 67 to 72, tier 2, 58 to 63 drops, masterworked 73 to 78, tier 3 will drop between 64 and 69, masterworked 79 to 84, and then tier 4 is going to be 70 to 75, masterworked to 85 to 90 with the extra mod energy, so 1 extra energy slot to, put mods into and spend. And then tier 5 is going to be 75. It's going to drop at 75 power. Armin's right. 75, light level, power level, whatever it is.
Power level, yeah.
Power level, yeah. And then you can masterwork it to 90, and that gets your extra mod energy slot. So you have that 11th energy slot to play with, and your randomly tuned stat. And then armor with the tuned stat has access to the tuning mod slot, allowing you to choose between moving 5 stats from any other stat into the tuned stat, or balance tuning, which increases the armor's 3 lowest stats by 1. So yeah, so that's whatever, so if class is your tuned stat, you can say, hey, let me add 5 to the class and bump that up, or just say, hey, I want, this, I just need some other stats. Let's just throw it into, use that balance tuning. My 3 lowest stats each go up by 1 point each. So again, and because every number counts, everything gets a little bit better. You're no longer sitting here thinking, well, this will only get me to 68, and that'll do me no good because I need to get to 70 for the benefit. Now there's no wasted armor stats in Armor 3.0, which honestly I think is just the biggest change that I'm looking forward to. Every single stat you put into something will make it a little bit better. And now you've got more to play with. Now, with these changes, you might think your current armor just won't cut anymore, but that's not the case. Legacy gear will still be useful and be a great on-ramp into the new system. So that's what they say. So yeah, don't delete all your gear, promise. They'll tell us more things in an upcoming article later.
Well, they've also taken a look at the seasonal gear and refactored it into new gear to provide focus for build crafting through the game's various activities. And new gear can offer more lethality in PvE content, drops with seasonal bonus power, and receives bonuses from the current seasonal artifact. and it's easily identifiable with a unique color border and icon background so that you'll always be able to find it. Specific weapons will also be considered new gear. There will even be an exclusive PvP playlist where you can use this gear and to show off and have fun with it. So the new gear will include a 10% bonus for weapon damage and 15% bonus for damage reduction. And these bonuses will not apply in PvP or the contest mode of the upcoming raid. They'll have more information to share with us as we get kind of closer to that. But this is the thing that I've seen a lot of people talking about, and Houndish made his kind of video on. New gear is going to have a little teal symbol, a little teal square, and a symbol in the corner of the gear that is for this season. And what's going to happen is that we're all going to go in and we're going to get the new gear, and we're going to have that 10% damage increase, 15% damage reduction for that gear. And then when the new season comes around, that gear that we farmed for, we've worked our asses off for, that was tier 5, and we've got all the stats in the right areas that we need, isn't going to have that bonus. The new stuff coming in that season, we'll have to farm for again to have those bonuses on the seasonal artifact to give us the extra 10% damage and 10% and 15% reduction. So I've seen a lot of people complaining about this, and as I said, Houndish made a whole video on this. It's like having your armor and weapons that you currently have now. They're saying you can use them, and you can use them in all the areas that you want to. But if you want the new shiny stuff that gives you an extra 10% damage, an extra 15% damage reduction, you want to get the new stuff. And it's like, okay, so it's a sort of sunsetting, but not sunsetting, because we can still use it, and you can bring it up to the power level, but it's not going to be, the stuff that we've currently got now isn't going to be as good with like the artifact bonuses and the seasonal bonuses. But then you're saying after 6 months, I've now then got to regrind again for tier 5. I'm not sure if I'm on board with that. I don't know about you guys. It's just like a perpetual kind of sunsetting of gear.
Or new gear is only the newest. Honestly, I mean, this sort of addresses, sort of what I brought up earlier of sort of needing and wanting to know sort of what is the newest gear and what is not. And I think it was either Houndish, because I watched his video, and somebody else made sort of the same point of, just like you can bring your, sunset, unsunset weapons now into a lot of activities. If you're doing patrols, if you're doing, Vanguard's playlist stuff, so you can bring whatever weapons in, that extra 10 or 15% of damage and resistance aren't really going to matter to you if you're doing those activities. But yeah, if you're doing endgame activity, if you're doing GM level stuff, if you're doing raids, if you're doing things where your DPS matters, yeah, you're going to want that 10 and 15%. That's going to matter to you. So yeah, it is have we gone to, you get this weapon and you can now use it forever, which Bungie has been trying to over and over again get away from, having this weapon be viable for the next 8 years and then having to balance around, looking at you, Telesto, until the end of time. Is this sort of their solution to that, saying, yeah, I mean, you can still use it. We will let you use it, no problem. But it's not going to be the greatest and the best thing. You've looted, you shootered, but there's better loot to go loot. So, get back on the treadmill and get that better loot.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on this. Donny, what about you?
Well, it sounds like a bit too much meta that they're focusing on, because this season these weapons or these gear parts are going to give you bonuses, but next season they're going away. But you, as you said, you've grinded your ass off to get certain gear parts or weapons with perks, or maybe even craft them, so you have to do how many hours in a dungeon or whatever.
No crafting, no crafting anymore. It's just drops. So you don't have to worry about
crafting then, because you're grinding for the perks. And afterwards, it's going to be season hits, new season comes, the nice little gold little crowns or whatever you want to call it is going to be gone beside your weapon and your gear, and you're going to have to start all over again. In a way, it's good because that means that the power creep is going to be less every time you get into a new season. But at the same time, for the veteran players, that's going to be quite painful. because it's not easy to do the high-end difficulty.
No, and you may not get there until towards the end of
so
the
you've
season.
finally done it, and then it's going to be like, oh, but in 2 weeks it's gone, so there you go.
Yeah, what's the point? I mean, it's like if we skipped the whole Edge of Fate. Like, take for example, like we've got our gear now. We don't play the Edge of Fate. We then come back in December. There's nothing different from us taking the gear that we've got now into Renegades than if we play Edge of Fate and we take our Edge of Fate gear into Renegades, because it's not going to be useless. It's just not going to have the bonuses that the new stuff is going to have.
And
It's
those
like
little percentages that boost you up is going to be very helpful for a lot of players.
Yeah. And not only is it kind of the new stuff that's dropping in the Edge of Fate that you can kind of get this teal square and symbol on. Oh no, we're not stopping there. Bungie are going to give you featured exotics that will also have the little teal square on them. And they did show you this on the live stream as well. And there are 28 exotic weapons and 15 exotic armor pieces for each class that will feature in the new Edge of Fate exotic weapon arsenal and armor arsenal. So you can still use your other exotics, but they won't benefit from the 15% and the 10%.
And also season bound.
They're also season bound. So I'm going to run through the list for you guys so that you understand this. So for your Warlocks, you've got Felwinter's Helm, Fallen Sunstar, Nothing Manacles, Ballador's Wrath Reavers, Starfire Protocol, Wings of Sacred Dawn, Mantle of Battle Harmony, Matadoxia, Rhymecoat Raiment, Geomag Stabilizers, Promethean Spurs, Boots of the Assembler, Secant Filaments, Swarmers, and Eunoia. So that's the new one, isn't it? Yeah. Hunters, you've got the Dragon Shadow, Mask of Bakris, Blight Ranger, Sotarachne's Facade, Mask of Felty, Kepri Sting, Oathkeepers, Athra's Embrace, Renewed Grass, Caliban's Hand, Gifted Conviction, Lucky Pants, Star Eater Scales, Speedloader Slacks, and Moria. And then for the Titans, we've got Precious Scars, Worm God's Caress, Ursa Furiosa, Icefall Mantles, Point Contact Cannon Brace, Pyrogale Gauntlets, Wishful Ignorance, Crest of Alpha Lupi, Actium Warrig, Mark 44 Standardized, Peregrine Greaves, Phoenix Cradle, The Path of Burning Steps, Abeyant Leap, and Melus Panopola. That's the new one with the hammer. So those are your exotics that are going to be featured and get the damage reduction. I'm guessing also go towards getting the 10% weapon bonus as well. So that's
quite a lot.
You would have thought all exotics would have been included in the system, or none of the exotics. It's either all or none, I think. Yeah. As I said, I'm not entirely sold on this.
They're pressuring you too much to use certain gear and weapons, and that's something that not everybody might like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not saying that you're going to miss out on anything. It's just that you're going to miss out on getting that bonus.
Being alive a little bit longer in a GM is quite a thing, especially when you're LFGing. If they're like, oh, but you're dying too easy. Oh, you don't have gear that's that level, that tier? You're being kicked out.
Good point.
People are going to be left out in that way. And that's bad because why?
Yeah, and it is a weird. Just everything they're doing with the exotics is strange. I mean, like they go on to talk about wanting to have a dedicated system for sort of handling the exotics and giving them the benefits of higher tiers, and basically saying, hey, this won't be ready for the Year of Prophecy. So sometime after the Year of Prophecy, we're gonna, they're gonna do something with exotics and to benefit from the armor archetypes and reworked masterworking and all that stuff. I've been trying to understand what I should be doing with my armor exotics.
Well, you should be keeping them. Keep them.
Well, right. I mean, while your existing rolls will be converted 1-to-1 to the new stats, the new drops of exotic armor will be upgraded to Armor 3.0, which means they'll have their stats determined out by the archetype, receives a new masterworking system, drop with full energy by default. And while they will not have a specific gear tier, their stats will roll as if they were tier 2. So 58 to 63. Once masterworked, it should be comparable to all but the very best Armor 2.0 rolls. So you're going to give me new armor drops for my exotics. It's going to be decent at best. I mean, 58 to 63 total stats are not great. Those are things I'm deleting. I mean, if it drops with a 50 anything, I'm deleting it these days. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
But
sort of
with the
you know, I'm
masterworking
sort of
it though,
curious.
it goes up to 78. But then,
Yeah,
this was a
We
video
have
from
we have higher stats with that, with exotics that we have in our vault.
Yeah, there was a video from Cheese Forever made this week going over the same kind of problem. He's like, hold
Yeah.
on to your existing exotics because some of the existing exotics go up to 90. And
right. Yeah,
if
are going
this
to be
new
much better
system,
than.
if this new system won't let you even get up to 90, what's the point? I mean, yeah, for the new exotics, you won't be able to do anything. But now you'll be able to grind GMs. You'll be able to kind of do all the kind of the pinnacle things that gives you exotic drops. You'll be able to use your Tomb of Want. You'll be able to use your potions, Ido, to give you a chance of getting more exotics to drop, to then go to Rahul, re-roll and see if you can get really high stat or spiky stats at the moment. But you've only got a couple of weeks to kind of do this if you want to get better rolls of what's coming. It doesn't make any sense to give you lower stats. It really
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't. I mean, again, and they do talk about, you know, the we are getting those free 20 focus engram armors per account, which at least I'm glad if you're going to do the featured exotics, you told me about that ahead of time. So, you know, again, I can look at my Titan and say, well, I'm going to be looking at, you know, the Actia War Rig and Precious Scars. And, you know, I'm not going to worry about Syntheseps. If they're not on the list for the first time, I'll keep the ones I have, you know, at least as we're going into focus with these new, you know, Armor 3.0 dropping exotics from Rahul. If I'm going to spend those 20 tokens to get my free exotics out of it, at least I've got a list to kind of work from and say, well, this is what I should be focusing on, because this is what's going to give me at least the extra boost to start with. And you know, so the only thing going forward, at least, is the new exotic class items we've been collecting. You know, presumably we all have a vault full of those, so I hope you have been deleting all of those. They are the only armor from before Edge of Fate that will be fully converted into the new system. So each one of those will receive the maximum stats available for an exotic, you know, 30 in the primary, 20 in the secondary, 13 in the tertiary slot. To prevent this from massively increasing the number of possible class item rolls, these stats will be assigned based on their rolled perks. The archetype being determined by the left column, and the tertiary stat by the right column perk. However, this does mean that they can no longer be upgraded to Artifice Armor and will lose any Artifice Armor slot. So they're going to reroll all of our existing exotic class items, which is going to wreak a little bit of havoc, you know, if you have one spec'd out for a build that you want specifically. But at least, again, they tell you what it's going to have, but it may no longer work in the build you have because the numbers may be totally different. Lots to, you know, and again, you know, they've got like some examples, and you know, I was trying to look at these and make, so like they have this, you know, Spirit of Inmost Light, and then Spirit of the one with the spider current. I'm not going to try to say it correctly, whatever that word is.
Arachnes.
Thank you. That's the one.
Arachnes Facade. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the actual exotic, so Arachne.
And so that's going to roll with 30 in the super and 20 in the melee. And then the two perks on it are using an ability empowers the other two abilities, which I would think would be class, and then Spirit of Sarachne, Grenade grants Woven Mail. So I don't know why those two perks ended up, you know, like a class ability and a grenade perk give you super and melee stats. And then grenade being the third, you know, the tertiary one. I'm looking at their examples going, I don't quite understand. I mean, I guess okay. Well, so I mean, so Spirit of the Star Eater and Spirit of Apotheosis. The Spirit of the Star Eater, Orbs of Power, overcharge your super. That gives you 30 in the super slot. That makes sense to me. And then Spirit of Apotheosis grants melee and grenade energy regen after your super ends. So then you get melee is the second stat, you know, there, and then weapons being the third. So I'm looking at this going, I still don't quite know how to plan this out. I don't know. Maybe I need to read it again. Because then we've got the Spirit of Syntheseps and Spirit of the Assassin. So Syntheseps obviously improves melee damage. Melee is the top stat with 30. And then Spirit of the Assassin and Finishers empower melee final blows grant invisibility, which gives me 20 in the health slot, and then class is the third one. So I'm still looking at this going, so I'm going to have a bunch of exotic class items on my Warlock and my Titan. and I'm not really sure how they're going to pan out. So I'm going to have to play with my build a little bit to say, you had stats here and now they're different, and I'm losing my artifice armor slot on all of them, which, yeah, I don't know how to feel. It's too many changes coming at me at once to really be able to look at this and have like an intelligent like this, like what, like, it's going to be, I'm going to adopt the new system, but it's like, I don't know if it's good or if it's bad or if it's just bad because it's going to break all my builds, and I'm not quite sure where the numbers are going to lie. Again, I'm very happy they're telling us at least what's happening with these, and hey, that it's going to have 30, 20, and 13, which it wasn't 30, 20, and 15 for the tier 5. So maybe your tier 5 will be slightly better than your exotic because you'll have 2 more in the tertiary slot. I don't know. Anyway, again, just too many levels of numbers trying to figure out what should I be doing with these. But yeah, like Demon said, don't delete your exotics. Definitely don't delete any of your exotic class items if you haven't already, because those are being converted into the new system, and they're the only things really being converted into the new system fully.
Yeah, and if you can and you've got the time, see if you can get some more exotic engrams. And I was hoarding them up because I was thinking, if we're going to do like only be able to get the new exotics from Master Rahul, like we have only been able to do that like the last couple of seasons, that you need to kind of throw exotics at him to get him to the, I think it's this, you have to level him up to rank 16 to then be able to go back and buy them. And normally it's like I had to save like 10 exotics on each character to get to that point, and then even some more in my vault, or not in my vault, in my postmaster. I'm like, now do I bother with that? I mean, I do want the Titan gauntlets, but am I do I waste some of the exotics I've been hoarding now to see if I can get spikier rolls of the ones that I've currently got? So yeah, I might kind of do that.
Yeah, yes, because remember, you are going to have basically 20 free exotics when Edge of Fate launches that you can go to Ada and make those focus rolls on. So at least you'll have 20 20 chances to get. Again, I'd look at the featured list and say, what in that list am I going to build into this season, and or give it a couple days and say, okay, how do all these changes feel? What does feel good? What does feel bad? Like I've seen, it was interesting seeing like Point Contact Kin Embrace on the list of featured exotics. And I'm going, but didn't you just make a bunch of changes to Arc where Arc may not be the best thing this season? So I don't know if, I want to basically roll my Arc. Maybe I want my Worm God Caresses instead. And sort of the same thing with Ursa Furiosa. I'm like, isn't Void kind of getting a little, I don't know, just sort of looking at what classes and what, flavors of damage are going to be sort of preferred this season, and what to build into and what to sort of leave by the side. Or just grab your Actium War Rig and say, I'm just going to shoot bullets at the problem, and that'll solve everything.
I mean, looking at my exotics, and I've just looked at my gauntlets, for example, the lowest ones I've got are no backup plans in Destiny Item Manager at 63. And that's the lowest ones. I mean, most of them are up 69, 68, 67s, and that's without masterworking them and then sticking a mod in them as well. So it's like they're already at kind of tier 3, maybe. One of them's in tier 4. So it could be the point of like, I don't know. Shall I just... I'm not entirely sold on this new system.
We'll all have to see, I guess. It's just... We'll have to see what it actually does and how the tier system on an exotic actually will affect our builds. Because I have a feeling that the legendaries might be more important with the tier system than the exotics are.
Yeah.
That very much seems to be the way they're going, is saying, hey, you can put 2 sets of armor bonuses together or a set of 4 together, and we'll let you run the exotic because we're not going to completely make exotics useless. But yeah, it does seem like exotics are almost not an afterthought, but like that may not be the thing you're focusing on with your build.
Just the extra ability boost.
Yeah. It's hey, you've got this, and I just wonder, are they going to continue to sort of throw exotic engrams at us like they are now? Like should I be expecting to have an overflowing Rahul of exotic engrams I'm just sort of holding on to, going, I'll get around to these when I can? Or are they going to become more rare, so it actually is more of a more of a choice of let me maybe hold on to these and be a little more mindful about how I'm spending them. Because half the time right now I'm just redeeming them and going, yeah, whatever. Let me just redeem them into something that's probably going to be something I'm just going to delete anyway. Because I've got rolls that I want and good rolls of things, unless it's, ridiculously spiky for one reason or another. I'm not really holding on to it.
I think the other question is that the ones that you're kind of holding on to on yourself or in your postmaster now, will they, if you save them into the Edge of Fate and then use them at Master Rahul, will they be the old system of exotics and the old rolls so that they will come out spikier, or will they convert into the new section? So that's another thing to kind of think about, is that sometimes Bungie, if they're actually on your character, any engrams that you do have kind of get converted into a new system. Also, like, for example, I've had like Iron Banner engrams and held on to those from Iron Banner to Iron Banner, and then pop them to get the new weapon or the new armor piece to see what it's like. So sometimes when you hold on to engrams, they do convert to whatever the new DLC is. But if it's in your postmaster, sometimes it's kind of like, okay, that's on the old system. So
Yeah, that's the old system, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Noble 2.5, Original Recipe Noble's virtual assistant, here to tell you all about Noble's upcoming charity stream, which is happening on July 19th. So you can join Vanilla Noble in his battle on Kepler as he streams of 24 hours for the UK mental health charity, Mind. Whether you're stressed, depressed or in crisis, no one should face mental health problems alone, and Mind are here for you. Really, I think he's just using this as an excuse to play Destiny 2 all day, but what do I know? I'm just a virtual AI assistant. But seriously, it is for a good cause, so please check out the link in the show notes to join the stream and donate what you can for this great cause. Thank you.
But, I think we should talk about gear swapping.
Okay, let's talk about the gear swapping, and then I can get into the weapons afterwards that are also going to have these little till square that are going to be viable, only viable, or special viable.
Yeah, that was a whole weird list as well. But yeah, so the gear swapping, which again, I mean, this really feels like a PC person's problem. I don't know how many of us on console are really hopping into things and gear swapping and waiting the 16 seconds for the menus to load. But they do want to highlight a change they're making to a specific Warlock exotic chess piece coming July 15th. We may have missed in last week's TWAB. That we did miss. Not may have. They missed in last week's TWAB. For those who aren't too deep into build crafting, many Guardians have been leveraging an interesting strategy mid-combat, or boss DPS, with exotics like Sanguine Alchemy, where they swap the gear to take advantage of the alternative exotic bonuses that better fit the current point in the encounter's flow. So this is to maximize their efficiency and output, resulting in pumping out some incredible boss bakes, especially in ultimatum dungeons. While they applaud you for figuring all this out and coming up with the strategy, they would prefer that you not. So they're going to put the kibosh on that whole exotic swapping thing, sort of like they've been going after the not swap perks in PvP. They're going to, at the moment, just touch the Sanguine Alchemy and say swapping to this exotic in combat will now apply a 10-second cooldown before its perk can be activated, which to my thought just says, well, then people are just going to swap to that exotic 10 seconds ahead of time than they were before, and now they'll be able to get whatever the effect is that they're getting. But yeah, basically saying, hey, we have our eye on the hot swapping of people in PvE as well, and Sanguine Alchemy is the first one they're going to touch. They do say, hey, this above change is minor. It's a first step in targeting one exotic during our launch window. They'll be taking a larger approach later this year. When a holistic fix is implemented, they will re-examine this change and see if it's still necessary. So just, hey, we have an eye on the whole hot swapping to things mid-boss DPS, so just be aware that that's something Bungie's coming for. Again, I don't do enough high-end rating and stuff to know if it's people on PCs with fast enough machines to swap these things quickly,
or it's just that we're too old and we go, right, this is what we're taking, this is what we're sticking with. We may swap a weapon, but this is it. I can't be bothered.
I've got the kids in the car. I've packed the car. We're on our way. I'm not grabbing.
I'm not turning around. Yeah, I'm not turning around.
Exactly.
I may have just pulled off the drive, but I'm not turning around. We're not stopping. That's it. We set off and we're going, and that's it.
We're done. Bring the exotic armor piece you're wearing. You can't go back for another one.
No, yeah. Which I have done on many times and just carried on driving. Anyway, so these weapons that are going to have their little till squares and say that you can use these to get the bonuses. We have the
Yes.
Dead Man's Towel Scout Rifle, the Wicked Implement, which is Scout Rifle.
Stasis Scout Rifle. Yep.
Outbreak Perfected Pulse Rifle, the Barrow Dyad that we've only just got, the Lumina Hand Cannon, the Wishkeeper Bow, the New Land Beyond Sniper, the Aegis Scepter, the Navigator, Arbalest is back on the table, Centrifuge, Tommy's Matchbook, Quav 1, Polaris Lance, Graviton Lance, Ariana's Vow, Devil's Ruin, Hierarchy, let's say it properly, Hierarchy of Needs, Slayer's Fang, Lodestar, Legend of Acrius, Microcosm, Winterbite, Worldline Zero, Finalities Ager, Third Iteration, Graviton Spike, and Redacted. It wouldn't be a TWAB talking about a new DLC without a Redacted.
Yep.
We missed
So
the
at least
Redacted.
something being redacted. So yeah, whatever new exotic they're going to hand us.
So
Yeah,
you can still use your other exotics, but these will have an added bonus for this DLC or the Edge of Fate up until Renegades.
Yeah, which just it feels, I think partially just like, hey, here are the newer ones. Because I'm looking through the list and going, well, Outbreak Perfected's been around for a hot minute. Not the Wish Ender, but the Wish Keeper made the list.
Yeah.
Both Anchor Scepter and the Navigator, Arbalest, Centrifuge will be fun. Choir of One, if you ran that mission 1,000 times for that auto rifle. Graviton Lance is going to cause some havoc. Ariana's Vow. Yeah, I looked at this list at first and was just like, what a random hodgepodge of things. I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about the featured exotics here and then of course whatever redacted is. So we'll have to see what that becomes. Yeah,
it almost feels like a forcing, like Donny said, forcing of a meta. Like we're forcing you to use it. You can use the other things, but we're forcing you to use these to get.
Yeah, these will work. Yeah, these will work a little bit better because these will get the. Now again, this is where I'm trying to keep track of all the changes. The featured ones, are they going to have that additional 10% damage bonus? And the featured exotic armor is going to have the extra 15% damage resistance, or maybe it's 15 10 the other way.
Yeah, it's all to do
same benefits as new
artifact.
Gear.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the artifact. So the artifact will give new gear those benefits. So because they've given you the little till symbol so that you know that those are part of that new gear system, they will get the benefits.
Yeah. So again, turning down the and again, I can't remember now. Yeah. New gear will include 10% bonus for weapon damage and 15% bonus for damage resistance. So yeah, again, if I'm just running around having a good time playing some Legacy Gambit, I'm not going to worry about my 10 and 15%. But yeah, if I'm doing harder content, I'm not going to leave 10% extra bonus weapon damage on the table. I'm not going to say, oh, let me take 15% more damage from enemies. Yeah, it really is you can do whatever you want, but this is going to be how you're going to get the most, derive the most benefit out of this stuff. Like we said, pushing a meta or at least sort of trying to maybe shrink the pool of possible things they have to balance a little bit. Yeah, again, that's I look at all this and I think, one, it's big changes that solve a lot of their long-standing problems that we've read, TWAB after TWAB after TWAB of. We'd really like to balance this. We'd really like to make this easier. We'd really like to not have to worry about a weapon that was super OP that we released 10 years ago that we now have to still balance around. So, if this is again all in service of that, like that's where they've wanted to go forever. So yeah. I can't blame them for continuing to trying to find a way that the community will accept. Maybe this is it. We'll see.
Yeah. It just makes, going back on like the armor thing, it just makes it like the armor not care about the armor. It's like, well, okay, I can keep my armor 2.0 and my weapons 2.0 now, and then when I get the new stuff, I'll get the sets that I want, and then at the end of that, just delete them because there's no point, because they'll be the same as the armor 2.0 and the weapons 2.0 going into Renegades or whatever we got further on down the line. So I don't need this stuff that I've got from Edge of Fate because, yes, apart from the set bonuses, there's no point. I can regrind and get those in the new expansion. So it just makes it more throwaway, I guess.
Yeah. Or and honestly, the thing that keeps running through my head is, what part of this are they going to drastically change or go back on before this gets released? What
Or
thing are they
after
going to
it gets
say?
released, yeah.
Or after, yeah. What of this are they going to say? Oh, we heard your feedback, and we're going to, simplify the number of archetypes, or again, I look at the archetype list, and it's not crazy. It's not one of those, Bungie overwrought. Oh, we gave you 15 new currencies to manage that you just know by the time you're playing the content will be drastically simplified.
Would it
So I'm
make more
looking-
sense to have, say, we got a full set of gear that we really like in Edge of Fate? Would it make more of a sense to put like a timer on that to say, right, that is going to be good for a year, and at the end of that year, you either need to upgrade in Renegades and get like an extra, 6 months from Renegades from a year on from there, or when the next DLC comes next July, then you need to kind of get. I think maybe 6 months is cutting it too short to have like gear deprecation in a sort of sense.
Yeah, and is this just going to cause the same problem of, well, now I've got to keep all this gear around because in the next season this may be back on the featured list. I mean, obviously, with the exotics, that's what's happening is, we're going to feature different exotic weapons and armor. Which again, if I can pull it from collections, that's at least. Well, and I guess that's the other question: is what happens to my collections? I've earned all of these armor pieces. I've deleted all my Actium War rigs, and I want to pull one out. If I pull it out in Edge of Fate, is it going to be Armor 3.0? Or is it going to be the Legacy 2.0? Like, what happens to the exotics that I've earned that maybe I don't currently have in my vault, but I have access to it? What does that become when I pull it out?
Yeah.
And am I now just keeping all the exotics around now even more because it may be the feature one next time, and this is a really good spiky roll. It's got the right archetype. It's got the right everything.
And I suppose the other thing is, are you going to be, say you get the Edge of Fate gear, and like with the 2 set and the 4-piece sets, so those are kind of set in stone for those armor pieces. So if they then change the Aeon, say for example, because we've got the Aeon renewals in the TWAB this week, if they change what the 2-piece and the 4-piece do in the next DLC, is it then worth it to keep hold of those? Because that's the only sets that you can get those set bonuses on was this old Edge of Fate gear, and then going forward they've changed it, or like in a year's time they've changed it, and it's like, well, okay, that would do really well in this DLC, even though I've lost the 10% damage or the 15% damage reduction. Are you then going to be holding on to gear because it gives you those set bonuses that aren't now around, like we have with weapons with perks that that can't roll now, kind of thing? You're like, I mean, I've got a messenger that's got a Zen moment on it, that's a really old messenger, does really well, but you can't get the Zen moment to roll in on the messenger from trials. It's like, do I hold on to this because that's the only time I can get those perks because they've now taken them out of the game, or they've renewed them that they're now not available? It's stuffing up my vault even more.
Yeah. And is that going to be something strong enough? Yeah, it's a perk combination you can't currently get, but is that perk combination going to be competitive in a place where you'd use it? And is it strong? Yeah, it's more, I've got so many more questions now that we're making all these changes. Like, I think it's going to be good for the health of the game and the health of, again, Bungie has spent the last, 10 years saying, hey, we can't just continue to balance everything over everything. And I really like the idea, honestly, of having a progression to go to and then sort of a reset, and a progression to go to and a reset, like feeling like I'm making a climb, but we're not just climbing forever and ever and ever. Like there's actually like some reason to sort of, I like making the bar go up. I like getting my, clearing out the battle pass and getting the things from there. I like that sense of progression. I don't need that number just to go up and up and up and up forever. So I like the big overall changes. It's going to be a lot. In a way, I'm glad that they're doing all this at once. Armor 3.0, the new weapon archetypes, changing all of our stats, like change everything. I'm kind of glad they aren't sort of drip feeding this to us like season over season, or hey, on the next 3 acts, we're going to, make these massive changes one at a time. It's like, nope, just do the whole thing. And that way you're not trying to half balance. Oh, we've got the archetypes now, but we've got the old stats, and now it's, just do it all at once.
Well, that's why it feels like a Destiny 3. But I think because when they initially talked about an Armor 3.0 and they sold us on this whole system, and they said, after the 6 months that your power will be reset back to 10 and you'll have to regrind to get that power back up. I was on board with that. I don't mind kind of having to do that with the gear that I've earned through Edge of Fate. I wasn't prepared for the Edge of Fate stuff is going to be deprecated compared to what you can now get in Renegades. It's like, I'm not entirely sold on that. And also, how's transmog going to work? Because when you transmog, say, your Iron Banner stuff at the moment, you can wear stuff like your normal like sets and then transmog the Iron Banner stuff to get the Iron Banner perks on those. How is the transmog going to work? Is it you have to have the set that is available now, but you can transmog it to look like something else, but doesn't get the perks of other things? Or is it still spaghetti coded to that it could be?
Yeah, and maybe that's why Iron Banner is taking a break while we work that out. Yeah, no, I'm sure if it's coming back in September, I'm sure that's sorted. But yeah, like how is that going to function? Or are you going to also redo how Iron Banner works and say now instead of running this subclass, it's going to be something else? Or just say, hey, go play this. We're not going to limit you to something. Yeah, they can make any of those changes to just say, here's the Iron Banner, here's how it works now. Go play it. I mean, since it's all coming through the portal anyway, so they could do any number of things. Which I also keep again, I keep forgetting. Oh, and there's also the portal. We're going to access all of Kepler and stuff through the portal, not through the director. So it's going to be just a different way to access, every new thing in the game. Basically, yeah, the director will still be there. You can still go play Gambit. You can still go to the planets that are there now. But it's also going to be a totally different way of accessing, again, like accessing Kepler, accessing whatever new rotating things, like the coil and 17 Spire that they've talked about coming back, and whatever else they stick on their rotation, and how often do those things rotate?
Well, it's like what we've said in the past, and what other people have kind of said, like streamers and other podcasters have said, like, if you take like Destiny 1 and 2 and you've put it in its own little box over here, but then if you want to then play Destiny 3 and have different systems and things, you click a button so you can travel from the Sol system to somewhere else. This is what the portal kind of feels like. It's like you'll only be able to go to the new destination via the portal. You can visit the old Destiny 2 stuff and the Destiny 1 stuff over here, but the new portal stuff will be the only way that you can go forward with the game. So it feels like even more like a Destiny 3 built into Destiny 2 that has access to all the old stuff over here, but the new stuff is all over here. So
yeah, and there will be the day that comes where they say, we're either taking planets. We'll just as we travel further out, we'll lose planets from the director, or they'll just say, hey, this is the update. The director goes away. This is the update that we've built everything we're going to offer into the portal, and that's how you're going to access it. Which will, cause a new set of screaming about taking the content away that I paid for, that you weren't playing anyway. So
no, I think they'll stick to, like, you can the director will be there to visit the Sol system, but then going forward, the portal will take you to all the new stuff, and I think that's how they kind of get around to it. I mean, let's not forget, Destiny 1 still exists on servers. They still support that game. They still update that game.
Which is,
very bizarre. I can still go on an Xbox 360 and play Destiny 1. Not that I'm going to, but I can. And even original Xbox One as well.
Yeah, that's I really just scratch my head. Every time I see a downtime for Destiny 1, it's like, yeah, it's still out there, but you're not fixing, other than the activity showing up in the game, years afterward, going, this got pushed into the game because someone said, we'll push it out to 2025. No one will be playing Destiny 1 then. It won't be up. Just kidding. Yeah. Here's your half done event. Yeah, so I mean, it'll be exciting to see what other things show up, but people pushed out into the future. But yeah, it's like it's weird that it's still a supported game. Question mark. I mean, on one hand, I'm all for old games not going away. I think there's too many games that are now unplayable, but games that are sort of rely on other people to do things. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So we have we have some more balancing of the scales for abilities. Now, I can't remember if we went over all of these changes a couple of weeks ago when they did talk about the prismatic changes and everything else. I'll quickly go back over them. So, Warlock, Prismatic, they've reduced the number of fragment slots provided by the following aspects. Helion from 3 to 2 and Bleak Watcher from 3 to 2. And I do believe we did talk about that because Prismatic was a kind of thing that did come up. And they were talking about,
Prismatic was...
Edge of Fate, blah, 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 too powerful, so we're kind of cutting you back. So Prismatic and Strand, Weaver's Call, the aspect, now generates threadlings on any final blows instead of just Strand final blows. Void, Pocket Singularity, which is your melee, increase Pocket Singularity damage versus non-boss combatants by 20%, increase Pocket Singularity damage versus boss combatants by 56%.
The Pocket Singularity change is nice because it did always feel a little weak. Weak and short and not quite powerful like it should be.
Titans, your Prismatic, reduce the number of fragment slots provided by Consecration from 3 to 2. Solar, Consecration Aspect, increase the fragment slots provided from 2 to 3.
Yeah. I mean, basically them saying, Prismatic is really strong, so you can have, sort of full strength Consecration, but you're going to have to play on the Solar subclass.
Which makes sense.
It
should have been the other way around to start off with. Yeah.
Right, yeah. You want to build into Solar? You can have it all the power in Solar. You want to do Prismatic? There's some trade-offs.
Exactly. Prismatic Strand, Drangler's Lash, which is your aspect, increase tracking strength of base suspend wave and abeyant leap exotic armor suspend wave. Increase base suspend wave travel distance from 20 meters to 30 meters. And increase the abeyant leap suspend wave travel distance from 30 to 35. Prismatic Solar, Consecration Aspect, ignition no longer has a plus 20% bonus damage. Void, Shield Throw, melee, increase projectile tracking strength by 77%. Arc, Storm's Keep aspect, benefits no longer stack when standing behind multiple barricades. Did not know that happened, but that's nice that they're kind of changing that. I was happy with my one barricade. Hunters, your Gambler's Dodge, melee energy return no longer requires dodging near an enemy. So yeah, I think we did go over that one before. Prismatic, reduce the number of fragment slots provided by the following aspects. Ascension from 3 to 2 and Winter Shroud from 3 to 2. Prismatic Solar, Gunpowder Gamble aspect, reduce the self-damage from Gunpowder Gamble detonation by 60%, and final blows of all kinds now grant Gunpowder Gamble progress instead of just solar kills.
Okay, yeah, so using things under Prismatic will give you, you aren't locked to just that type of damage, which feels like it makes sense. If you're running Prismatic, you're running more balanced. So yeah, I like that change seems good along with the Warlock one for the Threadlings. So yeah, just do damage under Prismatic and you get the benefit.
Solar Hunter, on your mark aspect, final blows while 3 stacks of on your mark now radiate you for a short time. Activating your class ability now gives you 1 stack of on your marks instead of 3. Arc, Ascension aspect, Ascension can now activate the following perks: Armor mods, Reaper, Powerful Attraction, Outreach, Distribution, Bomber, Dynamo. Exotics, is that no idea. Is that Heart of Innermost Light on the class
Heart of
item?
Innermost Light. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't spell that out, but yeah, Heart of Innermost Light class item.
Yeah, and Grafalcon's Reserve Overshield. All classes increase damage versus bosses, mini-bosses, champions by 15% for these grenades. Arc, which is going to be a Flux, Arc Bolt, Flashbang, and Storm. Void, Axiom Bolt, and Suppressor. Solar is Firebolt and Trip Mine. And Kinetic, the Rock from your Forerunner. All damage types, ability energy returns from perks, and passive regen now scales based on the requisite stat. Void, reduce Devour heal amount from 200 health points to 140. Strand, suspend, increase the base suspension duration from 5 to 6. Stasis, the Stasis Shatter. Stasis Shatter damage now stuns Overload champions instead of unstoppable champions. And Arc, Flux Grenade significantly reduces the base cooldown time. Increase projectile size to make it a bit easier to stick on targets. Yeah.
Well, now that my Arc Ascension aspect, can activate all those following perks, I wonder if they're going to fix the bug with it not working with certain perks and exotics.
Maybe.
Or is this the new list of what it does work with, and thus anything that it doesn't is now no longer a bug and now is purposeful?
You're going to have to wait for your new list to come out in a couple of weeks' time to find out what's on your new list.
But we do have a new reward pass incoming.
Ooh.
Do you like numbers? Do you like making bars go up? We're going to have bars to go up.
I do. And I like the fact that they're changing some of your XP bonuses, because some of those I'm like, yeah, okay, you're giving me more of that. Yeah, lovely. And it doesn't matter to me. But this sounds like it does matter to me now. Maybe.
Well, I mean, it's a new era of Destiny 2. Don't call it Destiny 3, but it's a new era. So they're updating the existing seasonal pass model. So much like in the olden times, there will be 4 reward passes during the Year of Prophecy. And just like before, the reward passes are being reduced to 1,000 silver. But what we're really excited, so that's I think the reward passes, those are the special event ones.
No, this is if you want to purchase the reward pass. If you don't get the DLC and you just play the free version,
yes,
and you want the premium pass, you can just buy the premium pass separate. All those separate things. You can buy the DLC separate, you can buy the game separate, you can buy the pass separate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or you just say, here's all my money, I'm good for the year. I honestly forget you can do things piecemeal. But if you're just like, hey, I'd like to get this reward pass, it's 1,000 silver, which works out to some amount of money in real life in your country. I'll let you do that math, because we're not here for maths. We're here for numbers, making them go up, only up. They're really excited to announce that every rank reward will be available to earn day one. No more having to wait for a new act to launch to unlock more ranks. We've adjusted them to feel more rewarding too. So if you want to sit down day one and blow through all 110 ranks, you can do that if you really want to, and you've got the time and determination. No longer waiting for the new act to start before you can start earning XP and unlocking things again. They've also refactored some boosts and added new ones, removing some that were less than desirable. So the new boosts offer a comprehensive bonuses that apply to a wide range of content, as opposed to narrowly boosting specific season content. Which is nice, because it did feel like a lot of things were like, this is good for the season, and elsewhere, not so much. So the activity score boost now gives you a 15% score bonus on all portal activities when fully unlocked. Prime Engram boost increases the possibility of desirable armor and weapon drops from portal activities. The weekly challenge boost allows players to complete the various weekly seasonal hub challenges faster, streamlining their access to additional high-value rewards. And your XP boost has been refactored to apply a 40% bonus to XP earnings when fully unlocked, along with a 20% bonus to Fireteam member XP. Additionally, the total number of XP boost items has been reduced to make space for additional rewards. Those all sound good. I have no complaints here. And secondly, the premium track rewards have now been reworked so that all players can acquire a full set of both PvE and PvP armor. And the free track will offer 5 pieces split between the 2 sets, allowing players to unlock partial set bonuses for each. So if you pay for the reward track, you're getting your full set of, one full set of PvE, one full set of PvP armor with the associated bonuses. If you're on the free track, you get some of each, but not full versions of everything. Because that's the free track for you.
You don't necessarily need them from the tracks, because most of the stuff that you get in the tracks you can earn in the game. So
yeah. And then thirdly, they took a pass at the reward allocation to ensure they're providing as much value as possible to all of the players. So the various free rewards have been allocation of various free rewards have been increased, and players will be able to acquire more cosmetic items within the first 100 ranks of the pass compared to the prior season passes. With a return to 4 passes a year, they've also reduced the pass ranks down to 110. Why the extra 10, you may ask? Well, they're extra special. So they've set out to reduce the overall grind, remove the time gating introduced during the episodes. We still want to preserve some aspects of the aspirational progression and chase rewards that our larger seasonal pass provided. These additional 10 ranks are packed with valuable rewards for both free and premium players, so it's nice that free players will also get these. They require 500,000 XP each to earn. So 10 ranks, 500,000 XP each to earn each of those ranks, and can only be acquired through gameplay, no buying them. While we have ensured that the first 100 ranks provide more value than ever before, we hope that you enjoy having additional rewards to chase after hitting rank 100. And that's all they have to say. They do sort of show in the screenshot up here, they do show the 10, and it's, golf balls and exotic engrams and exotic ciphers and some, transmit effects. And I'm assuming that's a helmet. Helmet ornament, either a helmet or helmet ornament. Some cosmetics and some gear. It looks like if the pay track is the top one, it's basically exotic engram, golf ball, prisms over and over again. Basically, those 3 things as you get those next 10. And then the free track is more cosmetic based. You'll get 2 golf balls, an exotic cipher, some synthwave, whatever those things are called, and 2 shaders in there. So again, we'll give you the good stuff, but you're gonna have to work for it. I'm curious what I really want to hit left on that screenshot and say, well, what's the rest of it look like? Is this going to be? Are these all the exotic engrams I'm going to get, or are you going to give them to me at a decent clip like you are currently?
Maybe.
Yeah, but I think that solves the problem nicely of giving you something. I know everybody hits 100 and says, "Well, I want more than 100. What's beyond 100?" And I like that there's something there, but there's there's 10 things to unlock, but it's going to take you a little longer. So it really is sort of an additional grind. Again, if you want it, to really get those 10 additional ranks and really pour that XP in to get those ranks. And they aren't just throwing 15 more random cosmetics at you for another pile of levels that you don't really care about the rewards for. Are you excited to grind your extra 10 levels?
Maybe. I don't know. It's probably the same amount of XP that it is to get to the 200. They just put it in the 10. Maybe.
Yeah.
What happens after 110? Does it then level out and go, oh, okay, now we're like 100,000 to get an engram for Eververse like we do now?
Maybe. Or they just say, we take it all away and you start at 0 again. You gotta re-earn all those things you just got. But Bungie Day is almost here.
It is. And that's going to be on the 7th July. Yeah. They're going to do some more stuff.
So yeah, kicking off on 7/7, running through 7/29, July 29th. Second edition of the 7th Column Chaos PvP tournament. They have 16 teams made up of Bungie Foundation supporters. They'll split out in the Crucible. They'll do things. So we've got a whole list of people and a whole list of names, but not countries we have to read off.
No.
So, we've got the Paracausal Ponies, the Man Buns, Forget It, Six-Legged Freaks, Dust Bunnies, Crash, Coin Flippers, and Unstompable. And Tentacles.
That's your blue division.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. I missed the division at the bottom there. Yeah, so that's the blue division. I was like, why do we have these 2 groups? Yeah, this graphic could be a little easier to read. Attitude, something, yeah. Tentacles, Colonel's Revenge, Scandals, Postmasters, the BFFs, Stranger Danger, and the Exiles make up our black division. So, they'll be fighting it out. There's lots of people on those teams that I assume are, loads of people who've earned money for the Bungie Foundation in the past. They'll be fighting. There's a list of all the creators taking advantage there. If you're following them, what's happening. You can watch them. You cannot. It's up to you. They've also got another campaign coming. Through the Little Lights program, delivering rapid humanitarian aid, including inclusive welcoming communities for all. We're bringing back 7 fan favorite emblems plus an awesome slate of brand new items, so you can rep the Bungie Foundation and push our vital work even further. And we have another emblem.
I'm guessing that's for the new one for this kind of tournament.
Yeah. All I can see is a lava lamp on a pedestal. Like, I'm sure that's not what it is, but it looks like a sword. It's green and gold with some, sort of 7s back to back.
Yeah, I like that.
It looks very much like a lava lamp on a Halo logo. That's all I can see. It's like a Magic Eye game. You can stare at it, you can tell what it's going to be. So yeah, that's coming up. Follow the Bungie Foundation, twitch.tv/Bungie Foundation or bungiefoundation.org. They'll tell you when things are happening. And you can give money to the little lights because they're little and they're lights and they need our help.
But something that isn't coming, something that's already here, is the Steam Summer Sale. So it's a great time to catch up on past content. So if you haven't purchased anything, Steam has got a sale going. And I also saw this on Xbox as well. Xbox have got a sale. So Destiny 2, the Light and Darkness collection, I think that's everything, has got 85% off up until July 14th. So up until the day before the new expansion, you can get these bonuses or you can get this money off. And I think it's the same for Xbox as well. I'm not sure about PlayStation. Probably the same for PlayStation. Destiny 2, the Legacy Collection 2024, up to 90% off. Destiny 2, the Final Shape and Annual Pass at 80% off. The Final Shape and Annual Pass upgrade does not include campaign at 80% off. Destiny 2, the Final Shape at 75% off. And then 92% off Lightfall, Witch Queen, Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, and The Forsaken. But let's face it, you might as well just get the Light and Darkness collection, because I think it's cheaper than any of the others that you purchase separately. Or
pretty much, yeah. So looking at Xbox, the Light and Dark collection, normally $150. It's $22.49 right now. Final Shape and Annual Pass down from $100 to $20. Destiny 2 Legacy Collection went from $69.99 to $6.99. So $7 gets you the Legacy Collection, and the Final Shape is still $50 for some reason. So yeah, that's what it's on Xbox. Yeah, that's what it's on Steam. PlayStation, I assume, is also on sale, and if not, PlayStation, get with the program. Come on.
Yeah, so it should be a sale. Let's have a sale.
Yeah. Go buy the things before the new content launches, then you'll have more things to play.
Now, I know, like, we joke about this every week. Have you got a new known issues list, or is it the copy and paste? Let's have a look.
The 2024 title, I think that's the MMXXIV. The 2024 title is no longer available. So it's also gone.
So that's the new one from last week that you read out, wasn't it? A tweet, I think.
Yeah, so that's it's just no longer available at all. So wherever the champ title, it's lost its gilded status. Wherever the gilded status has gone from the champ title, the entire 2024 title has also joined it. They're gone.
Okay.
That Ascension aspect that might even mention is going to work with this certain particular set of armor mods and exotic armors. It isn't working with certain other ones. Now, does that list match this list? We're going to find out, because they're not telling us. Hey, Drowning Labyrinth Quest, still don't do it. Step 6 and 9, still broken. You know that Taken Relic from the Versk encounter, the Do You Realize exotic mission? Still sometimes drop to the surface. When tracking at core is Drowning Labyrinth Quest, certain quest steps stop progress on the next steps. Are they also
just don't track it?
Where you can't do them? I don't know. Hey, your memento shaders, you can preview those on armor in the armor management screen.
Can I have them now, though? Can I have them on my armor?
No, it's still not intended, and the mementos still are being considered for use on armor. And
if it goes long enough, can we consider it? Can we consider it if it goes long enough?
I mean, I feel like we're basically there at this point. If you can take screenshots and upload them to the dress setting section of Bray.tech, then I feel like it has to be there in game. It's basically official now. And I don't know if the Seeking or the Spirit of the Filaments were on the featured list, but they cannot grant Devour while the facet of Protection is equipped. So you can either Filament or you can Protect, but you can't do both. And yeah, that's it. So maybe we'll get new things next week. Maybe it'll be the same things. Maybe the Drowning Labyrinth quest, they'll just say, listen, we're just going to take you out of the game. It never wanted to be. So we're just done. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, so that's what we have. And now we're going to ponder some orbs in the art of the week. Eris is just pondering away. And sometimes Titan just want to be a tank, and what better way to do that than with a healer by your side, healing you as you enact carnage across the battlefield in our movie of the week. And yeah, what a week. We got through it. Reminder of the next live stream, 10 a.m. PT on Tuesday. For next week's TWID, we'll be diving into power progression, the portal, economy changes, and our plans for Bungie Day. So will it be the things we've already talked about, or will it be a slightly different version? Tune in next week to find out.
And then tune in next week to us to find out our reactions on that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And somebody's baby is now 3. Good job, baby, for being 3. Yeah. So that's our TWAB for the week. And I think our only news was basically the same. I think it was basically the 2 things that I sort of already threw in here. Just like the sort of tweet about, hey, the exotics sort of being tier 2 to start with, and hey, there's a live stream on Tuesday. That's
fair enough.
That's their news for the week. Hey, we're having another live stream. Maybe you'll like this one more. Maybe.
Yeah, and the only videos that I've kind of mentioned throughout the show are the ones where I think it was Houndish going over the competitive sunsetting, Astacross talking about the live stream, and there was Paul Tassi talking about the live stream and being meh. And what else was there? There was on Cheese Forever about the exotics and things.
Yep. And I'm going to throw. So Maven this week talked about, hey, will Ark and Void be dead in the Edge of Fate? Of just, there's a lot of focus on, with the artifact and everything, sort of solar stasis and Strand, I think is the third one. Yeah. And basically saying, hey, our Ark and Void kind of being left out. So she sort of goes over, sort of her takes and opinions on all three classes and their supers and things. And hey, are these going to be good, bad, otherwise in Edge of Fate? So you can watch Maven or not. Vase sort of talked about the Edge of Fate, what will Bungie be telling you, or what Bungie isn't telling you yet. The first part of the video sort of talks about a little bit of the lore and the lore implications and sort of his take on what that could mean. The rest of the video is sort of going out over the live stream and everything else. So if you've gotten this far in our show, you've already heard the rest of what he has to say. But the first part about the lore implication of it is sort of why I'm recommending it. And then my new favorite creator of the week, Engineer, has a couple of videos. 1, Warlocks and Stats, and 2, Hunters and Stats. Sorry, Titans, he has not made that video yet. I assume it's coming, and I'll tell you about it next week. But he really breaks down, he was the one who's been doing all the melee builds. I don't know if he's our new creator of, I'm going to tell you about numbers and how all these stats and numbers work out, but he's really looked at all the stat changes to the Warlocks and the Hunters and the abilities and exotics and things, and breaking down just those changes sort of to help all of us understand how those are going to work, and sort of make some build recommendations of, hey, you can use this exotic in these ways. And looking at, if you have an exotic with these roles now, this is what that will be, when the Edge of Fate translation happens, sort of here's what to look for. So yeah, Hunters and Warlocks, he's got you covered. And I assume Titans by next week, he'll have one for us too. But yeah, I've been enjoying his videos of just breaking down how all these numbers are going to change and what it's going to mean for us. And I think until next week, who knows what we have in store for us? Something on Tuesday.
Hey, buddy, do you want me to take over from here with the Patreons?
No, we don't. We'd like the actual Peroty to take over and give you the patrons, because you'll mess it up like you did the opening.
That is uncanny, and I do not care for our new future.
See, look, if you abandon me, you're going to be AI'd.
It's going to be roboed. Wow, none of us are unique and special people. But some of us can be threatened with a good time. I'm being threatened with AI taking my job, literally here in front of me. This is like when the new guy shows up and you're like, hey, train the new guy, not realizing he's here to take your job. Renard Kalant's and Zep Orbit's job, their jobs are safe. They can't be threatened with a good time. I mean, we've tried to threaten other people. No one can be threatened better with it than them. Our grenade throwers of Golden Gun 1562, Noble, Fire Squad 1688, the Man Conan from Texas, and Feral, their grenade throwing is top notch. We tried. We looked to find more grenades. I don't think the AI can throw grenades yet. Let's hope not. But until then, there are top tier grenade throwers. And our Deacon's Day 1 raid team of Gravy Jeff, again, can't be replaced with AI. Like I can, apparently. So until next week, maybe I'll be here. Maybe I'll be a robot. Only one way to find out. Thank you for joining us. Your Titans are Peroty and Night Demon. Your AI replacements are to be named. Our hunter for the week has been Don. You can find the show wherever you get your podcast. Find us everywhere. Just search Two Titans and a Hunter. You've got email for the show, twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. Find us on YouTube. Get every new episode, what Ada 1 has, what the Eververse goodies are. And remember to log in every week between now and the Edge of Fate to get your free break test. It's important. And also, you can place your bets on what Crucible modes are coming up next week. No way to know. Just gotta watch and find out. You can get this show and all of our show notes live at twotitansandahunter.com. If you want to join the Outer Dance Troupe, threaten us with a good time, be a grenade thrower, patreon.com/TTAH. Looking for more casual encounter, coffee.com/twotitansandahunter. And twitch.tv/twotitansandahunter. Again, I told you, just search Two Titans and a Hunter. You will find us everywhere. And until next week, we'll be back with something. Probably opinions on live streams. Will we have somebody else with us? Will I be here at all? No way to know. Gotta tune in next week and find out. Say goodbye, Demon, or Robo Demon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye from me, too. You don't really need him.
Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast.